Hello, guys, and welcome to the live. Hello, Ayo. How are you? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. So, we are trying to do the continuation of the project we started yesterday. Nice, nice, nice. That's nice. That's nice. So, we are trying to do the continuation of the project we started yesterday. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for always coming. I really appreciate it. Thanks for always coming. So, how are you? Good evening.
I'm fine. Good evening.
Good evening. How was work today?
Um, work is fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm still in the province of the office.
Okay, you are still in the office.
Yes, yes. Though I'm likely going to stick around up the entire. I work as a data analyst in food supply.
In
We
where?
are actually starting a food supply chain.
Okay, 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 okay. Okay.
So we
So,
are starting a new time from now. So we
okay,
have to tidy up bills, audit.
okay. That must be a very stressful one. So, do you have time to do work from home at all, or it's just
No, no, no. Though I'm actually going remote, but for
okay,
now, I stick.
okay, okay. Yeah. So, thanks for joining.
I really
So,
appreciate your effort. I really
thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, yeah. I hope
a privilege
what
having
I'm
a
doing
skill
is
like
helping one or two people. So,
you.
I hope what I'm doing is helping one or two people. Maybe people are getting something out of it. Hopefully.
Definitely, I joined yesterday and I was like, wow, this is worth $1 million. For those who really understand, we went through a lot to acquire knowledge nation. It wasn't easy, but we were just giving and now. You see, there's a difference between when you read files and probably somebody's holding your hand to
Okay.
teach you and probably do the right path. So you're actually doing the work of the work, but who is actually live with you. As in those tricks were that I was like, I like it.
I'm just trying to, a lot of people are learning and they don't know where to start. They don't know how to, get into the system. And I just see that there's a gap between
You
what you
understand?
learn in the school and what you learn in real life. So that's what I'm just trying to do now to bridge the gap between what you learn in the
And there's also a
class.
gap.
Yes, go on.
There's also a gap between when you learn, as in when you teach when you are self-taught.
Yes.
You are like a pivot, helping them to just navigate that part. It make things far more easier.
Mm, mm.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just waiting for us to get traction so that we can continue the second part. And this second part now, we are done with
Yes,
data
yes.
cleaning and everything. So we'll be starting with the Power BI aspect of it. So,
the sweet anticipation of momentum building. It sounds like you've put in the groundwork.
sorry, my Google voice just picked up. So that is what is happening, and because I'm using Live Studio, I don't even know how to share this live. So if people that are joining can just put on the like buttons, like the live, and share to your friends so that we can get enough traction and get started. So thank you for joining, guys. Thank you for joining. Just keep liking the videos. So Ayo, hopefully I'll see you after the session or when we have a break and we discuss more. So I'll just disconnect you from this and I'll get started. Thank you for always showing up. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right.
So yesterday we've talked about how to get the data from Kaggle and also how to get the data into SQL. And after getting the data into SQL, we've talked about the process of cleaning the data, how to, the process you have to go, when you get the data, you first do a visual inspection of the data. And from there, you see if there's anything you need to clean. And cleaning of the data is actually tricky. There's no one way to it, but what you need to know is that the columns you have are the format in the right way you want them to be. The data, are they in the right format? So, for example, I gave an example of date format. Sometimes there are some dates that are American style dates, and there are some dates that are UK style dates. So you have to know which one you want to work with. And even the format of the dates, you see something like maybe Wednesday 4, 2021. If that is what you want to work with, then that is fine. If it is not what you want to work with, you need to do some transformation on that. And that's part of data cleaning. And another thing you need to also do is to see if your data has any duplicates, which is also part of data cleaning. So if your data has any duplicate, you need to try as much as possible to remove the duplicates. And I've explained, we have a lot of questions yesterday why people were saying, can't we just use Excel and connect to Power BI directly? Yes, we can do that. We can connect Excel to Power BI directly. But in the real world, it doesn't work like that because Excel has its own limitation. And the limitation is what SQL has worked on. So that is why we are using SQL. Because of that limitation of Excel, that is why we are using SQL for data storage and data transformation and cleaning. And then we connect it to Power BI. And the limitation of Excel is that Excel, when it gets to a certain number of rows, I think after 1 million rows, it starts to hang. And there's no structure around Excel. What I mean by there's no structure around Excel is that if you have a single row, you can start storing name of people. Let's say, for example, we have name of people, which is text. So in that same column, you can add number to it and Excel won't throw an error because it doesn't have any structure. But in SQL Server, every column follows a single data type. What we mean by data type is that if you have text, that is a data type. If you have number, that is a data type. So that is the limitation that Excel has, that SQL has improved on. And SQL can take a whole lot of data, millions and millions of rows. So when you have that, and in the real world, that is how it works. The data is coming from operational database. Like, for example, we have our phone, you input a data. So whatever you are inputting or the data you are inputting on your phone is going to an operational database. So as it is going to that operational database, then we extract it from there and send it into another database, which we call analytical database. So that is the kind of settings you'll be working with in the real life. There's operational database, there's analytical database. So in the analytical database, that is where you extract data. And like I said, in some organization that they generate a lot of data, imagine you are working in Amazon. Amazon will not be extracting their data and putting it in Excel. Though I'm not saying they will eradicate using of Excel. They will have some places where Excel will come in. Do you understand right now? There are some places where Excel will come in. But they are doing a real analysis, the dashboard, where stakeholders will sit in front of the dashboard and look at it and make decision. You have to make sure it is real. It is real as fast as possible. Like real time, something has to be generated. So it's not just that you do something in Excel and then take some time to send it to stakeholders inbox. And from there, the stakeholders will now start looking at it one by one. Okay, another 1 hour, they will say, okay, send us the Excel again. No, it doesn't work like that. So that is why I've taken the project that we have the data, we downloaded the data from Kaggle, which is CSV file, and from there we take it to SQL. So we should try as much as possible to be familiar with SQL. And even if you are looking for a job in the real world, you have to have that knowledge of SQL. They will ask you, and it is not difficult. What we have been doing is not difficult. It's just a thought process, and the thought process you translate it into by using the tools. So, for example, I said the same cleaning process we have done in SQL can also be done in Excel. But the only difference is that we have to repeat the same process all over and over again. So, guys, let's like the live. We are still less than 1K live. Let's like the live, guys. Let's like. So, the same process, we have to repeat it again if you have another Excel file coming in. Do you understand? But with SQL, once you write that single code, it is reusable all over again. And it feeds directly into your Power BI. So, and I take us through the process that I use for solving any data analytics problem. The process that I use for solving any data analytics problem is, the first thing is to identify or understand the problem. So you need to identify or understand the problem. So the way it works is that you'll be working with stakeholders and you guys will be having meetings. So there'll be something like, okay, we have this issue, we want to solve problem with our data. What can we do? How can we get this done? And if you are not working right now, you are finished your boot camp and you are trying to get into data analytics and you don't know how to build your own original project. So it's usually like you should have an area of interest where you would like to get into, an area of interest where you would like to get into. So if you like to get into healthcare, so you start looking for healthcare data. If you like to get into finance, you start looking for finance data. If you like to get into telecommunication, you start looking for telecommunication data. If you like to get into transport. So there are data analysts, like the job role cut across all sectors. So I'm not sure there's any sector that doesn't need a data analyst. Do you understand right now? So you just need to understand or find an area of interest for you. So that is if you are just finishing your bootcamp and you don't know where to get started. You just need to find an area of interest for you. So in the real life, the stakeholders will always hold meetings to discuss the problem. So for example, let's say for example, if it is transport, I'm just using transport analysis for example now. If it is transport, they might start looking at the bus movement and look at it that in some areas, we expect that bus should get from this bus stop A to bus stop B in 8 minutes. So what is the actual minutes the bus is getting? It's taking the bus to get to that bus stop. Let's say from bus stop A to bus stop B. What is the actual number of minutes it's taking them? So it is you as a data analyst that you answer the question for them. So with all this discussion now, in the discussion, that is where you talk about the problem, and then you start thinking of, okay, what is the solution? So once you talk about the problem, the next thing is that they will tell you what they would like to see, what the metrics are and everything. So you start at the end. And starting at the end is defining the metrics you want to measure. So for example, in this our course live session that we are doing right now, I'm using an healthcare data. So we already did something yesterday where we extracted the data from Kaggle and everything like that. So I'm using an healthcare data, and there are different metrics that we'll be working on. So some of them is getting the total discharges, the hospital, because it's hospital data. So some of them is getting what is the total discharges. That's one of the metrics. What is the average length of stay? That's one of the metrics. And also, what is the daily discharge rate? Average daily discharge rate. That is one of the metrics. So all these things, you don't need to cram them. When you are in the real world, the stakeholders will come together and say, okay, these are the metrics we want to see. And most of the time, they will give you the definition of these metrics. They will give you the definition. What I mean by definition is that if there's actually, for example, let's say discharges now. Let me give you an example of discharges. When we say discharges is an outcome of hospital process. When we have an admission, that is somebody got admitted into the hospital. So discharge is an outcome. So there are different types of discharges. So there are discharges that are against medical advice. There are discharges because the person has died. And there's actually the real discharge that the person has been discharged, like you are fit to go home. Do you understand now? So if we are not saying discharges now, are we counting all the outcome of discharges, whether the person died, whether there's the person was discharged against medical advice, or the person was discharged because they are okay? So you and the stakeholders, we agreed on that okay, we are only counting discharges that's actual discharges. So if it is discharge against medical advice, we are not counting that. If it is discharge because the person has died, we are not counting that. Those are the things you and the stakeholders we agreed on. And sometimes, again, as a data analyst, they might ask you and they might not ask you. You should also get some important analysis to it into your dashboard that you're building for them. And also, it is also a good practice to identify relationship between features. What we call features in data is also columns. All the columns, that is what we are recording. Do you understand now? We can find relationship between the two. For example, what is the relationship between discharge rate and average length of stay? So, for example, average length of stay is the number of days people are using in hospital before they get discharged. Do you understand now? So we can say, okay, what is the number of people we are discharging in correlation with the length of stay, how long they are staying in the hospital? Do you understand right now? So if you have any other more insight that you feel can facilitate the data-driven decision, you can also add it to your dashboard. So that is starting at the end. And after that, the next thing is that obtain the data. We have done this aspect of it, obtaining the data. We have gone to Kaggle, we've gotten data. So if it is the real world, your company will actually have a database or a data source or a data warehouse where you go there to extract the data. And one of the things that happen is that when you meet with the stakeholders, you agree with them, this is the data we are using, because sometimes you might have a lot of data, like a lot of data warehouses, and they might be measuring slightly different something. It will look like they are the same, but it's a bit slightly different. So by agreeing with the stakeholders to know which database or data warehouse you should be using, that is part of obtaining the data. So data delivery also is part of obtaining the data. Like I said, sometimes you might have your data being streamed from a particular spot. For example, in this hospital data, in the real world, we have nurses and doctors in the hospitals that are putting in the data. Okay, this person was admitted January 2025, and we are discharging him today, which is 19th of May 2025. You see now, all those data are being imputed. So how is the data getting into the data warehouse to facilitate real-time decision for the stakeholders? So, but for you that you are just starting out, yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for joining. So please, let's like the live. We are getting there. Let's like it. And we also have our live goal. So thanks for supporting. So, but for you that you are just starting out in your data analytics journey, you can go to Kaggle to look for data sets. So it's one of the easiest way to get data sets. So that is obtaining the data. The next one in the thought process is identifying additional resources. So identifying additional resources, sometimes your data might not be in one particular place. But you as a data analyst, you need to know what other sources are available for you to source for data. So let's say, for example, now, I brought the example of transport analysis, that it's taking the bus, how long is taking the bus from bus stop A to bus stop B. So we have a particular number of minutes we expect it to take the bus. So the issue is that we are not recording traffic time. If you go on Google Map now, if I go on Google Map now and I search for an address from my house, the time difference will be the time Google Map will suggest for me will be different from if I search during peak hour. Do you understand now? So when there's less traffic, it might be showing that, okay, it will take you 10 minutes to your destination. But when there's peak traffic, the time might go up like maybe 15 minutes. So that kind of data now, we are not recording that. It's with Google. So there's a way we can source for that. So that is identifying additional resources to be able to, plan all those journey for those bus stops, for those bus activities. So that is identifying additional resources, and also meeting notes and documents that could guide you. So when you have meeting with the stakeholders, you would have meeting notes. They will tell you what are the things you should exclude in your columns or in your data, and what are the things you should include. Do you understand right now? and also security and access. So, like I said, if you have additional data you have identified or something that can help, do you need access to it, or how do you get to it? So that those are the things you need to also put in place as a data analyst. So when you start working, those are the things you also need to put in place, because if you work in a big organization, you won't be able to even install any software in your system. You have to go through the IT department to install any software. So even if you want to have access to resources, you have to go through IT department. So these are the things you need to work on. What are the security and the access you need to take care of? So the next process is looking at is doing the work. So once we have our data, we have our access and everything like that. Before we start building anything, we should inspect the data. We have done that yesterday. We have inspected the data and we have done some exploration and we did some data cleaning. So we did some data cleaning. Yes, I heard the analyst said the system is well secured. So yes, data is the new gold. And even all the AI and everything we see today, they are powered by data. So you have to be careful the work you do around data. So as a data analyst, you will undergo some training on for what we call GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, especially if you work in international space. It is very important. So, and yesterday we did data cleaning. We saw that there are some duplicates in our data, and we did data cleaning. And also, the next thing is to do research and subject matter expertise. So, for the fact that you are working in hospital, or you are working as a transport data analyst, or you are working as a financial data analyst, does not mean you will know everything. So sometimes there might be a project which you are trying to do something novel, like you are building something new. If you don't have an understanding of it, you can go online, and those are part of the things we'll be showing us today, how to do that. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So after that, the next thing is presenting the minimum viable answer. So I explained this yesterday, that it's just like tech people building a product. So you as a data analyst, you're also building a dashboard, you're building an analysis. So you can't lock yourself up forever and start building and building and building. You have to keep communicating. And part of communication is that having something to present to the stakeholders. So minimum viable answer is that you have a dashboard to present to the stakeholders, and there will be a meeting on it, and they look at it. Okay, how did you arrive at this number? What did you do here? How are we going to interpret this chart? Do you know the questions like that? Once you meet with the stakeholders and you have meetings and they talked about the dashboard and everything, they might ask you to go back to it again, and that is where this last process comes into it. You have to iterate. So analysis does not finish. And the reason why it does not finish is that we keep getting new data and there are new events that keeps coming in. So for example, now, let's say, for example, the example of transport analysis that I've brought now, we are looking at it that it's taking the bus 10 minutes from bus stop A to bus stop B. But let's say there's a new school around that bus stop, or there's a new business center around it. So definitely we have more people using that route, and it will take the bus a longer waiting time. The bus will have to wait for more people to get into the bus, and definitely might increase the traveling time. So then we now have to review the analysis we have done before. So for example, too, in healthcare data, if it is discharges that we are looking at, we might have a different setup to work with the discharges. But after some times, we'll discover that it is not working again. Do you understand right now? We discover it is not working again, and then we have to make some changes. So thanks for the gifts, guys. Thanks for the gifts. I really appreciate it. Thanks. So that is the thought process. And we have already done most of all these things yesterday in the SQL Server. So this is the data, the code in the SQL Server that we used to clean the data and everything like that. This is reusable. So once we write this code, if there's any data coming into the database, it will always get us our clean formula. It will always get us our clean data. Though after some time, you still need to come back to review the code. Thank you so much for the gift, guys. Thank you so much. So after some time, you still need to come back to review the code. Do you understand right now? But it is reusable. It will always do the same thing you have asked it to do. And after this, we connect the SQL Server. We connect it to our Power BI. And after connecting to our Power BI, we have this data. We have this data in our Power BI. So the next thing now is to start building our dashboard. The next thing is to start building our dashboard. So if we go back to our thought process, the process you are following, if you go back to the process you are following, you see that we are starting from the end, define the metrics we want to see. So like I said, we'll be looking at metrics like total discharges, and we'll be looking at for average length of stay and average discharge, daily discharge rate. So after that, we'll be looking at other important analysis we can add to the. Okay, so somebody's asking, why did I use CTE in this case? So I've already explained that yesterday, and the reason why I use CTE is that to make the code reusable. Do you understand right now? To make the code reusable. So there's duplicate in my code. If I run this code, I just want to show for people that are just joining the live, so that were not there yesterday, I'll just make some brief explanation of this. So if I run this code, let me connect again. This is there. So if I run this code, it is giving us duplicates. And what I want to do is that I don't want to delete any of the duplicates. So I'll just, put them back into a virtual table. And to put them into a virtual table, the reason I want to put them into a virtual table is that I want to extract only the original data and ignore the duplicates. So the virtual table, that's why I've used CTE and use it to create a virtual table, which I've named it check duplicate. So after that, this SQL code at the bottom now, we now use it to query this check duplicate table, this virtual table that we have written. Because if you look at the code, it's selecting everything from check duplicate. But we have now filtered out the places that are duplicates. So that's why we said we only want places where our number of duplicates is 1, and we are also filtering out this null duplicates, this null record. This record that has null, this medical record number, we are filtering that one out too. So that is why we are removing that one. So and we ordered everything by this medical record number. So the CTE is just a virtual table to hold everything. I don't want to delete anything because in the real sense, in the real world, I'm not allowed to delete anything in the database. Do you understand right now? In the real world, I'm not allowed to delete anything in the database. So I have to be able to write a code that will get me what I need, and it's also reusable. That is the way it works. So it's not about writing complex code. It's about writing something that will work for you. You have a thought process, use the code that will work for you. So from there now, the analysis we'll be looking at, the KPIs we'll be looking at total discharges, we'll be looking at average daily discharge rate, and we'll be looking at average length of stay, important analysis that we can do. So one thing I usually tell people is that if you don't know all these things, you can actually get into all these things by doing some research. So you can actually get into all these things by doing some research. If you go on Google search, let me just open Google. I don't know anything about average daily discharge. Yes, that is what I use. I use CTE. That is what I use. If you look at the SQL code very well, I use CTE. So if you check it very well, it is CTE. So there's nothing different there. So if I go on Google now, I don't know what is average daily discharge. I know to get total discharges is just to count how many discharges do we have. Do you understand right now? To count discharges, to get total discharges, I just know is how many, to get the number of discharges we have right now. So if I go on Google and just search maybe average daily discharge, rate formula, average daily discharge rate formula. So if I search on this, I will see a lot of, a lot of explanation here. So it's usually trying to, if you read a lot, you see. So to save us time, you can just keep checking some of all these publications. Even by Google Gemini will give you a definition. The average daily discharge rate is calculated by summing the total volume of discharges over a period and dividing it by the number of days in that period. So that is what Google is giving me. So it's now left for me to read more, and you can. I think I found this article interesting. If I open this one, so let me just put the link to the article, and I click on view publication. So this is an article on ResearchGate that's talking about this one is talking about daily discharge rate as a novel hospital efficiency metric. So it will talk about a lot of things here. So if you read, I've read this article and everything like that. So if you read this article, you see this is average length of stay. They will tell you how to measure the average length of stay, and some other things. Again, is daily discharge rate. This is the formula for daily discharge rate. So this document, let me share the link to this in the chat so that people can get it. I don't know. I can't post the link, so I think it's not allowing me to post the link. So, well, you can message me later if you need the link to this documentation or research. So I'll send it to you. So while reading this research, I also found something interesting. They use a particular chart, which is this chart is SPC chart. So, and the reason why they use that particular chart is that they've said something like, if you are using this, if you are looking at average daily discharge rate, you can also use it with control. These charts are control charts. And another thing they did again is that they compare daily discharge rate and average length of stay. They compare the two together. So by doing that, I already have an insight, an idea. This research work now is not using the same data that I'm using. But what I can just pick from them is the way they have done their analysis and, pick some idea from it. Do you understand right now? So that is how you get something. Another way you can get all these things is by, talking to Google or talking to ChatGPT and ask it to give you maybe explain to you what is average daily discharge rate, how can you get this done and stuff like that. So that is how all those things are done. So the next thing we are going to move at is start with our metrics. So one of the first metrics they asked us is to get total discharge. And I told you that it is ambiguous because if you check our data and we'll see outcome. So these are outcome of discharges. And we have three types of outcome here. We have this DMA means discharge against medical advice. Do you understand now? This means discharge against medical advice. So this one means discharge. That is like proper discharge. Expiry, it means somebody died. So that is the term they use in hospital healthcare data. So once they say something expired or somebody expired, so the person has died. Do you understand now? So guys, let's like the live. Thanks for supporting. Let's like the live. So the next thing is that if you come together with your stakeholders, do you want to count every outcome of discharges or do you want to count only the ones that are discharged alone? Do you understand right now? So do you want to count only the ones that are discharged alone? So for what we are trying to do now, we only count the discharge alone and we will ignore discharge against medical advice and we ignore expired. Do you understand now? We will ignore expired or expiry and we will ignore discharge against medical advice. We will just only count discharges. So if we go back to our Power BI, So how to do this is to first, if you are using Power BI, another thing you need to do again is that if you check your data model, you need to build your data model. So before you start doing anything at all, you need to build your data model. And the reason why you need to build your data model is to, link the right data together so that your analysis will come out right. So, but for this kind of analysis now, we only have a single table. And for the fact that we have a single table, we can still add another table to it, which is the date table. If you are using Power BI, it is important to use the date table or even any analysis you are doing. Because one thing is that the dates in all these results or all this data might not follow each other chronologically. So, for example, if you look at the dates we have, we can see, let me sort it ascending. So you can see that some dates, the first date here now, which is 6th of January, 7th of January, 7th of January, and the next one it flew to is 11th of January. So things like that happens a lot in the real world. So that means in between 7 and 11 of January, there's no discharges. So, and issues like that might affect your calculation. So that is why you need to create a separate date table that would, take care of your dates that has to follow each other chronologically. So, and you connect it to this data model. So, in the way to create dates table is if you come to this place, you see table tools at the top of the Power BI. If you see table tools at the top of the Power BI, you then you click on new table. So once you click on new table, you give your table a name. So you can give it calendar table name or you can give it any name you like. Do you understand right now? So you give your table a name. So what I usually give my table is that I just call it calendar table. I'll just say calendar table and do equals to. So I want to generate dates. So what I will do is there's a function in Power BI that will help us to generate all the dates. It is called calendar. So when we use the function calendar, then it will ask us what is our start date. So I'm not going to pick the start date off and I'm going to use the dates in our data model. But this is where it now gets tricky. We have two dates in our data. We have the admission date and we have the discharge date. So which one are we going to use? That's what I'm saying, that you have to have all these conversation, or as a data analyst, we should also build something like this. So because our analysis is focusing on discharges right now, So we only focus on using the discharge date. We have the admission date, we have the discharge date, but we will only be focusing on the discharge date because that is what our focus is. That is what our focus is right now. So, and how do we get the start date of the focus date? To get the start date of the focus date, we use the main function because I want to get the minimum date. The calendar date is asking me to produce the start date and the end date. So we use the main function and we'll go to our admission table and we look for the discharge date. So discharge date, we will close that. And it's asking for the end date. So the end date, I'll also use the max function to get the end date. So all these things I can add code them and say, okay, if I know the minimum date, just like as I've used the other, I've inspected, I know when the data started. It started on 6th of January 2017. And if I check the max of the data, I will know when it started or when it ended. But in the real world, you can't add code all these things because they will be changing. Do you understand right now? All these things will be changing in the real world. So all these things will be changing in the real world, and you need to know how to ensure that you have a code that is functioning. So somebody's asking me to increase the fonts. I don't know if it is possible for me to increase the font on this Power BI. But I'm making it as big as possible because I think I'll have to start going into the settings to increase the font. So I'm making it as big as possible. So the marks, I'll get the marks of the admission, the discharge date. So I'll just do discharge date. So if I click this button right now, it will generate all the dates for us. So our date is starting from 6th of January 2017. And if you look at it now, we have 7th of January, 8th of January, 9th of January, 10th of January, 11th of January. So what is the difference between the discharge date and the end dates? No, it is the same. We only have two dates in the data. We have the admission date and the discharge date. Do you understand now? Admission date that is the date when a patient was admitted into the hospital, and the discharge date was the date the patient was discharged. And we said we have three types of discharge. We have the normal discharge. We have the DMA, which is discharge against medical advice. And we have the expiry. Expiry is when someone died in the hospital. The way they record them is they either write expired or expiry. So most of the time, if you don't understand the terminologies in your data, it's something you can ask ChatGPT to give you an explanation to it. And once it gives you the explanation, you get a better understanding of it. Do you understand now? So everything we are doing now, there's no cramming there. It's just trying to understand the subject matter expertise. That is, this is healthcare data and this is what we are doing and why we are doing it. So a simple Google search, a simple research and everything like that would help us to get better. So we have generated the date. So the next thing we want to generate again is that we want to generate the actual date this date falls into. Do you understand right now? So the actual date this day fall into. And to get that, we use another function in Power BI. So if we do new column, we click on new column and we use another function. So let's say I want the day name, and we use another function called format. And this format, it will get the value of the date and how we want to format it. It will get the value of the date and how we want to format it. So I'll just do date. So that should get us let me do calendar date. Calendar dates. So that is our calendar table date. This date we just created. And the way we want to format it, we want to format it by using we want it to be in just three letters. So for example, if it is Friday, it should be FRI. If it is Monday, it should be MON. So you just put DDD, 3DD. And once you close this and click on enter, we should get the results. So we now have our Friday, we have our day name. So after this, we can also get our month name. Everything we are generating from this date now. So this particular code again, we will reuse it to get our month name. So we'll just copy this and click on new column, paste this. So this one will be our month name. And the DDD, we change it to we just change it to MMM. So it should get us our month name. So we have our month's name right now. And after that again, we have our year name. So the main reason why we are creating all these things is that we will be using this as some of all these things will be used as filter to filter our records. Do you understand right now? So those are the reasons why we are doing all these things. So the next thing again is that we want to generate the year out of this one now. So to generate the year, we just do the same thing. So let's copy this. We already copied. Let me just do it again. Format. So we just say year. And we change this to Y for Y. So we have our year right now. So this is our new calendar table. So as a data analyst, if you are doing any analysis, you should always have a calendar table. And the reason why is that sometimes you might want to present to something in a different way. And like I said, the date in your main data might be different, might not follow each other chronologically. It's just the way we see this one now. It's starting from 6th of January, and you can see that everything is following each other chronologically. Because sometimes you might want to do some analysis that says like maybe for the past 30 days, for the past 20 days, for the past 3 weeks. So these are the kind of dates formats that will allow you to do all those kind of analysis. The one in your exact data might not be working correctly because there are some omissions. So it is possible that on the 10th of January, there's no discharges. Do you understand now? It is possible that on the 9th of January, there's no discharges. So how would the calculation you have written factor all those things into it? And some graphs you are also using take all those things into consideration. If some of those data are skipped or they are missing, it turns to a problem. You get wrong values. Do you understand right now? So that is our calendar table. So the next thing is that if we move to our data model, we can see our calendar table right now. So what we want to do is connect this calendar table to our data model. And the reason why we'll be connecting that is that we want our calendar table to be controlling the dates in our original data now. We want our calendar table to be controlling the dates in our original data. And how to do that is that we have two dates in our data now. We have the date of admission and date of discharge. Because our analysis is focusing on discharge right now, we are going to connect to date of discharge. That is what our analysis is focusing on. We are connecting to date of discharge. So what I'll just do is just select this date and drag it onto the date of discharge. So it will just give me the cardinality. So there's one to many. The cardinality is one to many. So what it's saying is that we have one single date in the calendar table that we created, and we have many or duplicate of that date in the discharge table, the date of discharge. We have many of it in the date of discharge. And again, the cross filter direction means that it is single. So it is only the calendar table that can filter our data. It is only the calendar table that can filter our data. So let's click on save, and now we have this. And if we go back to our Power BI, if we go back to the report view, we'll see that we now have our calendar table as part of the data we have right now. So we have the admission date, and our admission data that contain discharges, and we have our calendar table. So the first metric we want to build is total discharges. So when having our meeting with stakeholders, they already said, okay, this is an hypothetical something. I'm just giving you the way to work in real life. When you have a meeting with stakeholders, they will tell you we are changing something. So in our discharges, we are not going to count all the discharge outcome. We just only want to count the outcome that are discharges alone. So if the outcome is decision, DMA, discharge against medical advice, we will ignore it. It will not be counted as part of discharges. If it is expiry, we ignore it. It will not be counted as part of discharges. Do you understand right now? So the next thing we are going to do is start writing the DAX formula to calculate that. So let's write the DAX formula. So for people that don't understand what I'm trying to explain, if we check our data again and we check the outcome, we have our outcome here. So if you check our outcome, we have three types of outcome. We have discharge against medical advice, we have normal discharge, and we have expiry. So what we want to count only discharge alone. We are not counting the other two types of discharges. So we click OK. So we go back to the report view. So the next thing is that we create a measure table. Or we create a measure. So to create measure, usually I like to have my measure in a separate table. So the way we see the admission data, the calendar table, and everything like that, I don't want my measure to be modeled up in all these admission data or anything. So I want my measures to stand alone. And how to achieve that is by clicking on this. We will see something like enter table, enter data. I don't know if you can see it. We have something we call enter data. If you click on enter data, so it will bring something like this. So I'll just name my table. I'll just give it a name and say measure table. So I'll click on load. So under the measure table, that is where you can see now that it has added measure table to the list of data tables here. So that is where every measures or every calculation I'm creating, that is where it will be saving. And the reason why you have it like this is that you can have a big analysis or a big dashboard where you have written a lot of DAX formulas and you won't know where each of the formulas or everything are. So sometimes it might be lost somewhere and you don't know. But if you have all the measures and everything in a single place, you'll be able to, it will be easy for you to track whatever you are looking for. It will be easy for you to track whatever you are looking for. So the first thing is that we are looking to calculate the total number of discharges. And like I explained to us, we are going to exclude, in our total number of discharges, we are going to exclude discharge against medical advice, and we are going to exclude expiry. So, and how to do that now is by writing a DAX formula. So on our measure table, we just right click on it, or we click on the three button here, and we click on new measure. So once we click on new measure, it will bring this for us to write our measures. Thank you, Mommy J. Thank you. Thank you for the gift. So guys, let's like the live and support the live, please. Let's like, and let's also share to the people that will benefit from this. So what I want to do now is to calculate discharges. So I'll name the measure discharge only. So I can do something like maybe total discharge only. And how to use that is that I will count all the outcome of discharges and only select the ones that are discharged. I'll count all the outcome of discharges. So, like I said, the point of all this thing is not to cram the code, is to have a thought process of how you want to do something. You know, I said I only need discharges alone. So how do I get there? So I would count, like it's like I'm going to filter the rest out of it and only pick out discharges. So the way to do that is by using the calculate column. So when I use the calculate column, the next thing is that I'm counting the whole of the outcome on our table, the whole of the outcome on our table. Sorry, that's not outcome. The whole of the outcome on our table. And once I finish counting, the only thing I want to then extract out of it is the discharge. So I'll then put the table again, which is the outcome, and say where only the outcome equals to discharge. So this is my exact discharge. This is my exact discharge. If I click on this green button now, I'll have that in my measures. So you can see now that we have under the measure table, we have our discharge now. We have our total discharge. Under the measure table, we have our total discharge now. So I can delete this column 1. I don't need it. So that the measure table will go to the top of the whole stuff. So we have the measure table at the top now. So now this is a single metrics, is a KPI. KPI means key performance indicator. So in Power BI, there are different visuals that we can use. So because we want to do KPI, so we use this card visuals. We use this card visual. So when you click on card, it will ask you to bring a visual to it. So I'll just drag my total discharges to it. So I'm having 13,000 discharges now. So that's the reason why I'm having 13,000 discharges, is that there's no filter on my report space now. There's no filter on this dashboard. But I already know that I have my total discharges. So the next thing I'm going to look for is that if we go back to our slide again, we have our total discharges in our slide. We have taken care of our total discharges right now. So what we need again is this average daily discharge rate and average length of stay. It's saying, can I confirm this in the SQL table? Okay. So let's see. And that's actually a good one. So that is actually a good one. So to confirm it in the SQL table, so count the outcome and outcome is equals to discharge and outcome is equals to discharge. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, order by. Sorry, order by. So we are going to group by. Sorry. Group by. We don't need order by. So we should have this. Let's see. So that's 12,600. That is 12,608. So Roland, if we go back to our Power BI, let's see. So let's do something in our Power BI. So the formula in our categorical label, the call out value. So display unit none. So can you see it now, Roland? That the same thing we have in our Power BI, that is the same thing we have in our SQL. So it's actually a very good question. Do you understand now? So it's good to use the SQL server to confirm what you're having in your Power BI. It's actually a very good one. And it's if you miss something like that, it can be a problem for you when you are presenting to the stakeholder. So it's matching. Do you understand right now? So it is matching. So guys, let's like the live. We have been on 7K since. Let's like the live, please. And also let's support the live goal. Nobody's even doing anything to support. Let's support the live goal. Thank you so much. So let's go back to our Power BI. So that is the discharges. We'll just keep it somewhere. Do you understand right now? So we just keep that somewhere because we'll come back to it again. So the other question they have asked us is the average length of stay and the average daily discharge rate. So first I'll do this average length of stay because it's easier to understand. So I'll come back to this average daily discharge rate because there's more explanation on it than the rest of the metrics. So thank you, Kazi. Thank you, Kazi TV. Thank you so much. So if you go back to our Power BI and we do the next, we want to do the next metrics, which is the average length of stay. So to do the average length of stay, so sometimes if you don't understand the calculation, if you don't understand what you need to do, like I said, there will be a lot of definition for you. So you're not going to assume mean because the definition of mean is the how will I put the definition of mean or the total length of stay divided by the total discharges that we have. That is average length of stay. All of them are staying different days in the hospital. So let me show you what I mean. So if you click on admission, you see this duration of stay now. We are going to sum up everything. So that is how to get the mean. So the duration is that this duration of stay is the same thing as length of stay. Do you understand now? It's the same thing as length of stay. So to get the average now, to get the average of all this now, we are going to sum all this length of stay and we divide it by the total discharges we have. Do you understand now? We divide it by the total discharges we have. And we have calculated the discharges already. So the next thing is to write a code, to write a DAX formula to help us with that. So if you click on new measure, the first thing is that there are two ways to do it. You can maybe calculate total length of stay differently. So we can do total length of stay which will be, if you are doing total length of stay, it's just by summing up all the duration. Do you understand now? It's just by summing up all the duration. If you are doing total length of stay, it's just sum the duration of stay. And once we do this, it will give us total length of stay. And again, now we can get our average length of stay because we have the total discharges and we have the total length of stay. We can use that. Sorry, the total length of stay. Can you see it right now? So what I've done for total length of stay is just sum of the duration of length of stay, because to get the average length of stay, it is the sum of that duration of length of stay divided by the total discharges. So we have our total discharges already. Thank you, Karim. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So we have our total discharges already, and now we have calculated our total length of stay. So to calculate our average length of stay now, so our average length of stay now will now be dividing the total length of stay by the discharges. So let's do that right now. So we create a new measure and we call it average length of stay, which is ALOS. We just call it average length of stay, ALOS. And after that, it will be equals to, I want to divide. So I'm going to use the divide function. So I can actually write it and use the / function to do that, but it is not efficient because sometimes it can break. So the main reason why I'll be using divide function is that it will take care of zero error. So there's something we call zero division. So sometimes when you are trying to divide something by zero, it will give an error. So to take care of that is why we have all this function. So what I'm explaining is that I can say total length of stay like this and divided by total discharges only. So I can write something like this and it will work, but sometimes it might give an error. If there's a data quality problem in our database and we write something like this, that is why you see some metrics will disappear in your database or on your dashboard. You see some metrics giving an error on your dashboard and it will refer you back to start going and fixing the dash code that you have written. And you try to fix the dash code and you discover that you have written everything, but we connected this thing to the SQL server So we have to go back to the SQL Server to go and correct the data quality error. But if you have written a code that will take all those kind of error into consideration, then you won't have to fix anything. So even if the numbers are not correcting, the numbers are not working, you are very sure that you have written the right formula. So it's left to the data quality team to take care of the error. So, and how you do that is that we'll delete this formula. We use the divide function. So when we use the divide function, so even if you read what they said in divide function, it's saying save divide function with ability to undo divide by 0 case. So that is why you should use something like this. So it will undo divide by 0 case. So our numerator now is the total length of stay. Total length of stay. And comma will give our denominator. Our denominator will be total discharge out, the total discharge only. And after that, if you want to give an alternate, so if there's an issue where the thing is going to give an error, we just put 0 there. Instead of it throwing an error for us, we just put 0 there. So if we are looking at our dashboard and we are seeing that our average length of stay is showing error, which is not possible for us to have 0 average length of stay, we know that there's a data quality issue somewhere. And then we know the dashboard calculation, the DAX formulas are working fine. We just need to go back to the database to fix the issue. So once we click this, we will have our average length of stay as part of the measure tables, part of the measures we have. So those are the metrics. So the other metrics we will now talk about is the average daily discharge rate. So the average daily discharge rate is actually a very tricky one. So, and why it is a tricky one is that the definition is actually different. So let me show you from this research paper. I just want to show us the formula from this research paper. So daily discharge rate now, it is number of discharges over 24-hour period over the divided by the total census at the start of 24-hour period multiplied by 100. So what the thing is saying is that the number of discharges, the people we are discharging at that period of time, all over the total people that we have currently in the hospital. So we are counting discharges and we are counting the people that are present in that hospital. So multiply by 100, that is what will give us the average daily discharge rate. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you for the gift. So guys, let's take the live to 1K, 10K. Let's take the live to 10K. So to do that right now, I would also show us the calculation we are going to use in our Power BI. So we are going to create a new measure again. And this time around, the measure is going to be our average daily discharge rate. So, which is going to be a very tricky one. So, it is going to be a very tricky one. So, average daily discharge rate. Sorry. So Average daily discharge rate. Let me look at the formula again from the from this. So this is number of discharges over 24 hours a period to total census at the start of 24-hour period. So we are counting the number of discharges over 24-hour period over the total census at the start of the 24 hours. So in our calculation, so can you see my screen? Somebody is asking my screen. So in our calculation, we are looking at the data. We'll be looking at the average daily discharge rate over a period of months. This formula is looking at it over a period of 24 hours. But what we want to be looking at is over a period of a month. Do you understand right now? So that is where the formula is tricky. That is why I said we need to understand. Yes, we are not going to look over 24 hours. Do you understand right now? We'll be looking over a month. So that is why I'm saying that all this research paper is just to get us what we want to look at. Do you understand right now? It's just to get us what we want to look at. So this formula right now, I know what this formula is saying, but let's say, for example, I'm a novice, I'm a newbie. I don't know how to translate this formula into DAX. Do you understand right now? I don't know how to translate this formula into DAX. And even this, let's say this calculation is not clear to me. I don't need to stress myself. I can just maybe go to any of the AI. So somebody let me use DeepSeek this time around. So DeepSeek.com. So get into DeepSeek and I can ask it to get me what is the daily discharge rate. Do you understand right now? I can ask it that, okay, I don't understand daily discharge rates. I just say, how do I calculate daily discharge rates? So the prompt is actually wrong. So I meant to put hospital daily discharge rate. I'm not sure if it will get it. So the prompt is actually wrong. So let me see if I can stop it and say hospital daily discharge rate. So I don't know why it's taking longer than usual. So I'm just doing this to help people. I'll show the calculation on Power BI. I'm just saying that sometimes when you read research paper and you don't understand what is going on inside the research paper, you combine it with AI and AI will give you a definition, a simple something. So this one is still generating a prompt. So I just want to see what it will generate. It's still thinking. So I don't know why this one is just generating. So I don't know why it's generating and it's not giving any answer. So, but the way I'll do it is that we need to calculate the number of people we are discharging at that particular time, and we need to know the period we are looking at. So we are looking at in the formula it says 24 hours, but we don't want to look at 24 hours. Do you understand right now? We don't want to look at 24 hours. We want to look at something like, if we pick a particular month, let's say we pick the question again. I think the question again. Where's the question? Let me see. So don't know why it's just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. So what I want to do is that I want to get this formula, which is the average daily discharge rate. You see, I want to get this formula, average daily discharge rate, but I don't need it for 24 hours period. I need it for if I select a particular month, that is what I need it for. So if I select January 2020, 2017, it should get me the average daily discharge rate for that month. If I select February, it should get me the average daily discharge rate for that month. And you know the date numbers varies. We have some dates that are 30 days, we have some that are 31 days, and we have some that are 28 days. We have, I think February is the only one that's 28 days. So that is what we are trying to do. That is why we are trying to write the formula. We don't need it for 24 hours because our stakeholders will not be looking at 24 hours. They'll be looking at it in a monthly period. Or when they select, the data keeps updating every day. So they'll be looking at it is important you understand the window that they'll be looking at. If one daily discharge rate for that particular day, it doesn't say anything. Do you understand right now? So they'll look at it for a window of one month, and they'll look at it that, okay, what is happening in the 1 month? They'll look at it, it will be like a time series. So for example, the month of January 2017, we have discharge rate of maybe like 15%. In the month of February, we have maybe like 18%. The next one, we have like 19%. You can see that the discharge rate is going up. And all of a sudden, let's say we have 8%. It dropped. So they kind of look at it that, okay, with the time series, with the time of everything, what has changed in between? Why did we drop in the discharge rate? Do you understand right now? So that's why they look at it in this thing. And even the formulas and everything that we see here, this kind of chart here now, we call it SPC chart. You see the way it's looking at it, those are the kind of things we'll be looking at. Well, since it is not responding, I don't know why it's not responding, because it's also rolling. I just want to see something different. But let's see if I use ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT will bring, because so let's see ChatGPT. So I think ChatGPT is already working fine. So this one is telling me, okay, total discharges over period over total inpatient days in same period. So this is a formula. So another one now is that it's asking me this is another formula, number of discharges in a day over total number of inpatients at the start of the day. Do you understand right now? The total number of inpatients at the start of the day. So multiply by 100. So, and it's explaining the number of discharges is the total number of discharges in a day is the total number of patients officially discharged from hospital during a specific day. So total number of inpatients at the start of the day, this includes all patients admitted and still occupying bed as at midnight or early morning of that day. So what this is trying to tell us is that we need to calculate the people we have in admission. So if you look at its example that he has given to us now, that let's say we have number of discharges we have today, 25, inpatient at the start of the day, 200. Daily discharge rate will be 25 over 200 multiplied by 100 equals to 12.5. So it's giving another alternative, rolling average discharge date. So this one is to look for more stability, more trend. If you look at this now, it's saying to get a more stable trend, especially if you want to look at weekly or monthly discharge pattern, we can use this. Do you understand right now? It says we can use this. So, like I said now, our stakeholders will be looking at the data over a month. So that's why I'm saying that all these things, we don't need to cram it. We just need to understand what is the basic of the analysis and what the stakeholders would like to look at. Do you understand right now? So total discharges over over period divided by total inpatient days in same period. So I'll be going with this one. So I'll just ask it to explain. I can copy this formula and say, okay, explain this briefly so as not to take time, so that I'll understand what it's saying more. So this is saying that, okay, the rate, it is telling us what is average daily discharge rate. So what is telling us is that the thing I need now, the key terms that I need now is total discharges over a period, the number of patients who left hospital during the selected time. Like I said we'll be looking at monthly, we'll be looking at data monthly, and total inpatient days in same period. So this is the sum of occupied bed days during that period. For example, if 10 beds were occupied for 10 days, so that's 10 inpatient days. So how to do that now is that we are counting the total length of stay. We are counting the total length of stay. So it will be total discharges over total length of stay multiplied by 100 to give us the average daily discharge rate. So that is what we go back again to ChatGPT to do, to our Power BI to do. So if you want, you can ask it to calculate, to translate this for you into DAX formula. So if you want, but I'll just come back to my Power BI and I'll do another divide again. So I already know the discharges. I've calculated the discharges, which will be the discharge only, the total discharges only divided by denominator, which will be total length of stay, total length of stay, so divided by 0. Or this will give 0. So once we have this, okay, can you adjust your screen? So sorry. So the formula for the average daily discharge rate is the total discharges over the total length of stay, and we had 0. In case there's an error to it, it will give us 0. So the next thing is that we have our total length of stay. We have all the metrics that we need right now. We have our average length of stay, we have our average daily discharge, and we have our total discharge only. So the next thing is that if you go to our report now, we can start bringing them in one after the other, which is, this is average length of stay. We can bring another one again, the average daily discharge rate. So things like this, we can see our average daily discharge rate, we can see our total discharge, and we can see our average length of stay. So we can turn this is a rate which should be in percentage. The average daily discharge rate is a rate which should be in percentage. So if we change it, we click on the measure, if you click on the measure, there will be an option at the top that will change it to percentage for you. If you click on it, to change it to percentage for you. So that is 13.6%. Now the next thing is that we need to add our filters to all this. So this is just a simple draft. We'll still get all these things to get better. This is just a simple draft. We'll still get all these things to get better. So the next thing is to add our filters to it. And like I said, we'll be looking at this in a monthly level. So to look at this in a monthly level, we add our filter. So you click on slicer on this visuals here. You see something we call slicers. So this is slicers. If you click on it, it will come to your Power BI as this icon. So we just add we need the month here. So for example, if we want to see the January of 2017, January of 2018, May of 20 something, you understand now? So if you look at our calendar table, we see that we don't have something like that here. We just only have the year and the month name. So that means we have to create that in our calendar table. So to create that in our calendar table, if we go back to our table view and we click on our calendar table, so we can click on new column. So if you click on new column, what we want to do is to match the month name and the year name together. So we just say month, year, equals to, I'll just pick the month name, and use the ampersand sign to merge it together and do the space in between. Total discharges over total admission. Yes, it's a bit the formula won't work that way, because I will show you what I'm trying to do. Just give me a few minutes. So the calendar table, which is the year, so once we do this, we have our January 2017 and January 2018. So if we come back to our visual report and we pick the month year, we add it to the field, then we'll be able to use that month year field to filter. So let's say, for example, it is not sorting that chronological order right now. So you can see April 2017, April 2018, but we'll still take care of that later. So you see April of 2017, we have 315 discharges, and we have 16.5 average daily discharge. We have 13.68 discharge. We have 12.46. So that is how to do that right now. So we are looking at all this data in month way right now. So before we continue the analysis, let me just entertain or answer some of the questions. So Roland is asking, can you see my screen? So he's asking, isn't the discharge rate the total discharge over total admission? Yeah, logically that formula will work. Do you understand right now? So that is the textbook formula, total discharges over total admission. But if you are using that formula, you will be overcounting, or you are under-reporting or over-reporting. I don't know which one is the correct one. The reason I'm saying you are under-reporting or you are over-reporting is that if you are using total admission, let's say, for example, now we are using total admission of that day. We can admit more people than we discharge. And it won't factor for people that have been in the hospital for so long ago. Because in our data, we have something we call the average, the duration of stay. In our data, we have this duration of stay. You see this duration of stay, it is impacting how long people are staying. So I'll show you the formula. So it is impacting how long people are staying. So what we can do is rolling the average daily discharge rate. We have to do the rolling one. So what the rolling one will do is that at that period, when we want to do average daily discharge rate, the patients that are present in the hospital at that particular period are what will be counted, not just the admission for that particular day. Do you understand now? And if we are counting the patients that are present, we also factor in the number of days that they have stayed in the hospital. So that is why we have used our average daily discharge rate now. We are factoring in the number of stay those people have stayed in the hospital. So we look at the total discharges for that period of time, and what is the total duration for that period of time. So that is how to get the average daily discharge rate. So that is the formula right now. The total discharges for that particular period we are looking at. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for the gift. So the total discharges for that particular period we are looking at all over the total duration for that period. Do you understand now? If we count the number of admission, we can admit more people than the number of people that have been staying in the hospital. So that will inflate or deflate our calculation. So that's what I'm saying, that in all these things now, there's usually going to be an agreement between you and your stakeholders to say, okay, how should we calculate this? But logically, with my experience, this is what I feel it is the right way, because if you use the total admission, you can admit more and it won't factor those people. So it won't factor those people that have been staying in the hospital. Do you understand now? So yes, so it is the discharges over the total days they have stayed in the hospital. So we are using the length of stay right now. There's an advanced formula, but I don't want to complicate things. So that's why I'm using this formula. There's an advanced formula that it will capture the whole thing, but at the long run, we will still arrive at this formula that I've used, because the advanced formula is to calculate each patient for that period and how long each patient has been staying in the hospital. So which will translate to total length of stay. And because we are looking at a particular period, so definitely if we select January 2017, we will know the total length of stay for that January 2017. So that is average daily discharge rate, and that is, we have our average length of stay, we have our total discharge, we have the total length of stay. So those are the KPIs for now. Before we start then putting all this dashboard together to make it look presentable, I just want to see if you have people that would like to ask some questions before we go into bringing all this together. So if you have some questions, just put it in the comment section and I'll bring you up so that you can ask your question. Or you can send your request if you have a question. So I think everybody's good with that then. So guys, let's take the live to 15K. We are almost there. So yes, just like Ayokule has said, so the averages make it easy to see the pattern and the trends over time. So hello Theophilus.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I like your program. I just want to ask, I'm in UK. I have done what they call data science. I'm into data science. What I did it online. So I just want to know if I was trying to apply for the job. I was finding it difficult. Is it easy to get a job in data analysis or data science in UK? I don't know where you're streaming from.
Yeah, I'm streaming from the UK actually. So yeah, do you have a previous experience in it, or you just finished learning? Maybe you finished a degree. You just finished your degree, right?
Yeah, it's a postgraduate. It's
Oh,
online.
okay. So
Yeah.
so you can try look into getting an entry level role. Do you understand right now? You can try get into an entry level role. I've done some videos, or I've done some live session on how to apply for job. Do you understand right now? So if you check my videos and my YouTube video, you'll see the last session we did was how to apply for job, the way to write your CV and everything like that. So you will see inside there. And if it is not clear, you can come to my DM and we have one-on-one conversation to help you get better.
Thank you very much. I have already followed, so I'll go through that.
Okay. Is that the question? Any other one?
I think that is all.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, Ayokunle.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Yeah, I want
support.
to ask, what's the reason why we have blank in our slicer?
Yes, the reason why we have blank in our slicer is that some dates are not counted. There's a particular blank. There are some blank in the dates. And it's because we are using the discharges now. There will be some like data quality issues. So there are some places where maybe the discharge was not recorded or something like that. So it's left blank. So definitely those dates will be captured as blank. So
Okay.
so it is easy to exclude blank if you go to filter. If you click on this thing and we go to the filter and we can select all and
Yeah.
tick out the blank. So I'm just trying as much as possible not to use a perfect data because in the real world there's no perfect data. You have to just keep struggling with the data to get the exact something you want. So
Okay.
yes,
So, sorry to digress a little bit.
yeah, that's fine.
So, a situation whereby we have extracted our data and we want to start screening.
Okay.
I want to know maybe 5 or let me say 6 steps on what to understand when it's in our data.
Okay, so it's not actually step to say per se. It's just like you just have to take it as a routine. So the first thing I do is that when I have a data, I first check the data format. The data in the format that I like to work with. For example, in terms of dates, in terms of how will I put it? Orientation in the sense that if you see some data, let's say for example you see some data, you see that when they are putting the address, they would actually put their address together. In some data they will put the address together where you have the whole address and the postcode and everything together in those data.
Yes.
So if it is the way you want to work with that data, then fine, there's nothing you don't need to change anything. But sometimes if you want to look at the bigger picture, in some places they don't want to know the exact address. They just want to know what is happening in a particular postcode area or what is happening in a particular city. But I have all the address from the house number to the city, to the postcode, to the state and everything together in a single column. Then definitely I'll have to split them. Do you understand right now? So that it follows what I want to do. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is that I also look at duplicates. Do you understand? That is very important because if you have duplicates in your data, it will affect what you are presenting to stakeholders. It can either inflate, most of the time it always inflates the numbers. Do you understand now? It will give them the wrong
Sorry,
number.
can I chip in something from that angle?
Yes.
The situation whereby we have, let me say, couple of duplicates in our data, and the total number of rows we have in that particular table is like maybe 180 rows, and by removing some data, I sometimes discover that the rows are shortened maybe to maybe 80 rows, or I want to know the reason why the rows are being short.
Yeah, when it comes to duplicate, actually, it is a very tricky thing to do. Number one,
Yes.
you have to first determine what would you consider as duplicate. So, for example, in our SQL code, let me undo this, or let me just run this one at the top, so that I will show you something. So, in our SQL code, we have all this. We have the medical record number, we have the date of admission, we have the date of discharge, we have the age, we have all this record. How do I identify duplicates? So I can come up and say, okay, I want to identify duplicate by looking at if I have two or more records that have the same medical record number, the same date of admission, the same date of discharge, then that's a duplicate. So, and how do you identify that? If I show you one particular record, can you still see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So, if you look at this record number 6, you can see that that is medical record number of 989. The date of admission is 2018 May 12. The date of discharge is 2018 July 12. So the following record is still the same person, the same medical record number 989, still the same date of admission, date of discharge, the same age, the same gender. Do you understand right now? So I can see that this is actually a duplicate.
What about the product key?
The previous,
I mean the product key, like the serial number.
no, the serial number doesn't really mean anything. Do you understand right now? The serial number is just numbering how the record enters the system.
Okay.
Do you understand now? So this medical record number is the unique number for every patient that is being put into the system in the hospital. Do you understand right now?
Thank you.
Do you understand right now? Just like maybe if you have a bank account number now, nobody else can have the same bank account number that you have.
Okay.
Do you understand right now? So same way in the hospital too. You have a medical record number once you are registered into the hospital. So nobody will have that same medical record number.
All right. Thank you.
Do you understand now? You're welcome. So have I answered all your question or do you?
Yes, thank you. Let's another person.
Okay. So Ologbon OG, good evening. Ologbon OG, good evening. Are you there?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. I really enjoyed your program. And, I'm very, very happy since I've been working with many people. I don't even like coming on the social media and things like that. But maybe then first, they are still at the first couple when I saw data and everything like that. So at least I've seen where I can channel my attention. I give you kudos for that.
Thank you.
Because it's not easy. You'll be running here and there, doing some analysis, a big, great job on that. So my question is, like me, I will tell myself as a newbie coming to this job. So the challenge which I'm having, how do people like us that are just coming in, how do we apply for the job? And we are in the UK. When you come in, you start with one or two jobs before now pushing into your main field of profession.
Okay.
Now, we don't have any experience with it. Here they will say we are to work, which organization before they be able to operate. So you that you are on ground, what can we do to secure our own space?
Yes,
Fine, we are just
continue.
Based on employment issues, and you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Based on how do we have this job? And we are newbies, we are just coming. What are the ways we can apply that the company can be able to like, yes, these people can actually be encouraged in this field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is that I would like to ask, do you have any degree at all?
I did computer science.
So
After my degree, I now did a professional course. I now did data analysis. I did in Nigeria also, but I was not too focused yet. So when I came in, I was not thinking, I had to try and put more energy and effort. So I have to now register in another institute,
Okay.
just like an online institute. Although they are trying, and I have been learning and gaining much. Like all what is analyzed, just as if they are trying to double refreshing my brain again and again. So that's just it.
So the reason why I ask if you have a degree at all is that you need to first have a kind of certificate to put forward. So when you are applying for a job, because most of the time the job will specify that is either you have this certificate, like they will list some of it, and thank God you have something in computer science, which is a very good one. So after that, for the fact that you just entered the UK, the next thing for you is to be looking for internship or a job where you can volunteer. So there's a site called charityjobs.co.uk. charityjobs.co.uk. Yes. Or you can search for charity jobs online and it will take you to the website. And so the reason why I'm saying you should look for an internship or charity job is that you need to have a UK experience. And those are the kind of job that would not really bother you to have a UK experience before you can do their job. Because most of the time is either they just need you to work for them for like maybe 20 hours in a week, or maybe just one weekend. And once you have worked for them for like 6 months, you can then use that experience to apply for something bigger. Do you understand right now? So the only thing you just need to be careful of is that when you're searching for internship online, the definition of internship is changing right now, because some people are also opening internship and they'll say you are the one that will pay them. Do you understand right now? So you just need to get an entry level role, and all those charity jobs is easy to get because they don't need much of something, and it's usually like maybe remote stuff. So you'll be able to use their company as a reference that you have worked for them. So 6 months is enough. So, and another thing is that you have to have all this knowledge of SQL, Power BI, and Excel that we are talking about. So once you have that knowledge, then you are good to go. So you just need to have an experience. So after you have that experience, getting job is also a skill. Applying for job is also a skill. Do you understand right now? So if you check the live we did on Sunday, was it on Sunday or Saturday? It was about how to apply for jobs. So how you build your CVs from scratch and tailor it to the job description you're applying for, and also using ChatGPT to streamline everything so that it is ATS friendly. So if you go on my YouTube, the name of the channel is 9 to 5 Data. So I've already uploaded the live there. So you can go through the live session, 9 to 5 Data. I'll put it in the comment section. 9 to 5 Data.
Okay.
So you see the live there. So that is the way you can transition into the system. UK, they like you should have UK experience, but you have to do some job just for a matter of time, just to get you where you are going. The money might not be much and everything might not be much, but you just know that this is what you need to get to where you are going to go. Do you understand now? You're welcome. You're welcome. So let me move to the next person.
Right. Cool, thank you. Actually came up there because during the day I went to check for the video you did yesterday.
Okay.
To start in that. I actually didn't join you early because I was trying to get the video you did yesterday for the starting. You said we should get to practice what we
yes.
So we can catch up with you.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't see it today, so I was now watching.
Yeah, that's not available yet. The one we did yesterday is not available yet. So I'm just trying to do some editing and I will put it on the YouTube. So probably I'll just put it together with this one we did tonight. So it's not available yet. But if you follow this one and
this one, I I didn't join early because I was busy watching other ones. And before I knew you tried already.
Oh, okay. I will upload it on the YouTube channel. So,
All right, no,
do you have any other question again?
no, that's right.
Okay. You actually jumped over somebody. So, Kramer,
Good evening, sir.
good evening, sir.
Thanks for your time, and thanks for the charity you are giving to the society. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm someone that I've undergone this data analysis from TriTech.
Okay.
But after the training, I discovered there is nothing to learn about. Everything with about we are 100 plus, and none of us will be able to get a job.
Wow.
Honestly, I would say I was the only one that even tried to get to an interview level
Wow.
because I have this luck that when I'm doing my CV, I find it easy to get an interview.
Okay. That's nice.
But one thing I find is that whenever I get in there, the lack of experience always show that this, when you are working, we are doing care as our profession now. If I'm doing any interview in terms of care or a thing, the way I talk, the HR can see that
You have the experience.
But in terms of this data analysis, you can, if you are, despite the fact that I study mathematics and statistics, which make me have the background of how that's the first question.
Okay. So
That's last question. Please,
okay.
so that you can answer.
Okay. So I think I will take your question from the top so that I don't forget. So the first question, which is about data camp and how do you get experience when you go for interview. So the thing is that the way people are learning this data, they are learning it like just like you are attending a normal 4 hours of the classroom. So they'll give you question, they'll say go and do this, and they'll give you most of the things they'll give you are clean stuff where you don't need to stress yourself. And again, there's no thought process of everything. So we just copy and copy and copy and don't understand why things are like that. So that is why I'm doing this, to explain to people that how to get these things done. So I'm not saying data camp is not good. I'm not saying data camp is bad, or whether data camp or any boot camp you are using, you still end up having the same thing or doing the same thing, because they have their own structured question and everything they will ask you, which it is based on what they have taught you. If you use data camp very well, the question they will ask you won't require you trying to maybe give a different answer, unless I think it's only their coding courses that allow a bit of different answer. But once you are doing their normal, maybe all these kind of courses, you have to put the right answer. If you don't put the right answer in the question, it will mark you right. So the way out now is that you pick an original project and build your own analysis around it by using ChatGPT. All the thing I'm teaching right now, the question I have right now, I use ChatGPT to ask ChatGPT, can you give me an healthcare data? Or can you, I would like to work with an healthcare data. Can you give me the type of things I should do? Like, what are the type of analysis I can do? So that is where we got average length of stay, daily discharge rates, total discharges, and stuff like that. So the next thing I need to know is that you can ask it that in the data set, though you can ask ChatGPT to give you data set, but I don't really suggest that, because in the real world, sometimes you will go out to find data and you need to learn that thing. Because people are learning, they are not learning how they are going to work in the real world. They are just learning for the fact that they want to finish the boot camp. So what I just ask is that in the data that I'm looking for, what are the kind of features or column? Features and column are the same thing. What are the kind of features or column I should be using? So, and it's made mention of having something like discharges in the column, discharge date and discharge type or outcome. And when I went to Kaggle, this data we are using for this course is on Kaggle. When I went to Kaggle, there are a lot of healthcare data there. But I picked the one that actually work for what I'm trying to do. Do you understand right now? I picked the one that actually work for what I'm trying to do. So from there, the next thing is that I move it to SQL. Because in the real world, you'll be using more of SQL than Excel. The way you'll be using Excel is just maybe you have external people requesting for data from your side. You then send them Excel sheet and you try as much as possible to maybe remove identifiable details and everything like that. So the point is that pick a project, struggle with it. It can take you 3 months, 4 months to even finish one project. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have learned something and you have progressed. So what took you 3 months the first time might take you like maybe a month. And before you know it, it will be taking you a week. Before you know it, it will be taking you 3 days for you to finish a project. And that is why I'm also explaining thought process. Like anything you are doing, you should understand it. The purpose of all these things is not to master SQL, is not to master Excel, is not to master Power BI. Because as a data analyst, once they take you away from SQL, they take you to MySQL, or they take you to another platform that is using SQL, or they take you to another, they take Power BI from you, they take you to another visualization tool. What are you going to do? But if I've only know that, okay, if I press this one in Microsoft SQL, or if I press this one in Excel, or if I press this one in Power BI, this is what it's going to give me. I don't know the reason. I just know that once I press it, it will give me that. You are not learning. So that is why I give my own thought process. I know that this is what I want to do. I break it down. So for example, we pick the data. I know that, okay, I will first check the data. Is there any error? So after there's no error, I'll then look at it that there must be duplicate or anything. So I break it down, check for the duplicate and everything like that. So what I want to do now, I will then start, building a code around everything I want to do. I will then start building a code. So that is how to learn. Even when you move to Power BI too, that is how you learn. Do you understand right now? So that is about all those data camp of anything or how you progress. And that is why I'm doing this platform too, so that people would understand how things are working in the real world. It's not just, I know Excel that somebody taught me and you can't build your own something. Do you understand right now? So the second question about your interview, you are getting interview and everything like that, but you are not sure. So, or you don't have the experience. Actually, tech is one of the places where you can where you can cheat your way around it when it comes to experience. And what I mean by cheat your way around it is that if you build a lot of projects, for example, now, I might build a lot of projects. Let's say I'm serious for 6 months. I might build a lot of projects. And the way I'm building the project is not like I'm copying the project. Thank you so much, Femi. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's not like I'm copying somebody's project. I'm building something of my own originally. If somebody wakes me up tomorrow and say, okay, we saw that you built this dashboard. Can you explain to us what happened there? I will be able to explain. And once I go for interview and somebody is asking me, the way the interview works in UK is that it is scenario-based interview. They ask you the question and you have to answer in star format because you have to demonstrate that you have that experience. So they ask you, explain to us how you have used SQL to analyze data. You know, I cannot just say, okay, I know SQL, I would explain that, okay, I've used SQL to analyze data. For example, in my previous place, I was given a data in clinical. So if you are the person that you don't have that experience before, you have not done anything, you can pick one of your projects that you have done. That one of the projects I did is this and this and that. And from there, you will be able to explain. They just need to understand or to know that you can do that thing. So if you have not been doing an original project, it will be difficult for you to explain it in interview because everything you have been doing is copying. Do you understand right now? So it will be difficult for you to translate that into interview. So, and the third question, I don't even know if I remember the third question again. So I don't know if you can remind me the third question. I think I don't know.
Yeah. The third question was about this internship you made mention. As can data analysis also get something like that kind of charity.
Okay, so is it for you to get internship or?
Yes.
Yes, I've already explained where you get internship like that. So if you go, it doesn't necessarily have to be charityjob.com. Do you understand now? It doesn't necessarily have to be charity job. Even if you go on NHS, you see some roles that are entry level roles, maybe band 5. But the problem with all those ones is that they are very competitive. Do you understand right now? But if you go on charity, the reason why they are very competitive is that if you get on the entry level role, you get your full pay and you get your full time. But if you go to charity job, most of the time they just need somebody that would work for them maybe 20 hours in a week and you do their work. So, and it might be charity, just like you have the name says, you might not get paid. But what you just need is just to have an experience that you can put on your CV, especially in the UK, where everything is about UK experience. Do you understand right now? You can build a lot of projects and if there's no experience behind it, unless the only way you can build a lot of projects without having experience is that if you are coming from a university and you enter into a graduate program, they have programs or something like graduate or something like that. Do you understand now? Graduate program where they employ fresh graduates and take them through something like an internship, and from there they get into an entry level role, and from there they grow. But if you are not in that kind of line, you are not a graduate, or you have graduated for a long time, maybe like a year, 2 years, you have to explain what you have been doing for that period of time. And the only way to save yourself is that you have something you are working for. So that's why I usually tell people that if you get all those charity jobs, you can work it for 6 months. Minimum of 6 months. If you work for anybody, minimum of 6 months, they must give you a reference in the UK. You can work it for 6 months, and then from there, you move to something bigger. Do you understand right now? And tech is all about you demonstrating that you can do something. You can fly within 2 years, 3 years, and you look at yourself and you look at it that 3 years ago, I was not like this. So that is the way tech is. And with the advent of AI, you can use it to brainstorm, get anything. So, and I usually tell people to avoid uploading data into ChatGPT to give them analysis. You know, you see a lot of content online. They'll say, I use AI to analyze data. So it will work for an individual. Even an individual that is running business, it will work for them. But for a large organization, it will not work for them because all those AI that you are looking at, they are also using, they are trained on some data. You are now uploading your own company's data there. So somebody now, you upload somebody's data there, and the person start getting, let's say for example now, you work in the hospital now, somebody that has cancer, you upload their data there, and they have not, informed their company. So another company now talk to ChatGPT that we need people that have cancer and stuff like that. We have this product, we want to advertise to them. So you now start sending cancer something to those patients now. They will feel like their data privacy has been breached. And the only people that have that knowledge is the hospital. Nobody has the knowledge that somebody else has cancer. So they will definitely sue the hospital. So there are a lot of data breach, what do they call it, lawsuits going around. So you have to be careful using ChatGPT. You see, if I'm not saying that I don't use ChatGPT, but I will never upload any data there. It's just brainstorm on how to write code. Write this code for me, explain this to me. Well, okay, even if this gives me something, I can say, okay, translate this into a DAX formula. So that is how you'll be using it. And in some big organizations right now, they are already blocking all those AI sites. So imagine now that your IT has blocked AI site on your system. You can't have access to AI. You now copy somebody's data, you then put it on your OPC, and so that is voila. So you have to just find a way to learn all these things, and by learning it is having a thought process and start building something of your own originally. Do you understand right now?
Thank you very much, Mr.
You're welcome.
Mr. Uso. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you have a community.
Yeah, right now I've not built anyone, so because I just don't want to. If you check my page, it's just still fresh, so I'm still working on that. So once it is available, you see it on my videos. So let's move to. Do you have any question again, or?
I'm fine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, let's move to. Just you can pause a bit. Roland has been on the waiting list for a very long time. Hi, Roland.
Hello, Yusuf. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for showing us your workflow through your analysis project. I was going to ask you questions about the project, but we seem to have moved on.
Okay.
But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about your experience as a data analyst?
Okay. Yeah, if you've been following my page, you have seen that. And for the fact that you have asked the question, I'll just say I'm a senior data analyst in the UK and I work in the healthcare industry. So I work with one of the social care trusts in Northern Ireland.
Oh, in Northern Ireland?
Yes.
And have you always worked as a data analyst, or did you?
Yeah, I actually transitioned into data analyst. Yeah, I actually transitioned into data analyst. So I have a degree in engineering. So after that, moved to the UK for the masters in data science, and then moved into data analysis.
So you got a master's in data science, but you're a data analyst.
Yes.
Why that choice rather than a data scientist?
Yeah, the issue is that it's easier to get into data analysis than data science. And at the time, it was what was available for me. So, and how will I put it? I just kind of love the flow right now. So I do have skills of data science, ML ops, data engineering, and that has really helped to, improve the growth of my career.
Oh, that's good. And just for everyone online, what's in your opinion? What's the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist?
Yeah, for the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist is that if you're a data analyst, you'll be doing more of retrospective analysis. Like you'll be working on something you'll be analyzing data for something that has actually happened to see how you can make the whole outcome better the next time, or make decisions that will change the outcome you are facing right now. But for data scientists, it's more of like building something for the now and the future. So you'll be building, or you'll be writing machine learning to rather predict a particular issue. So let's say, for example, you have a particular ward. Let's say you have an oncology ward that treats cancer. You can try to have that cancer data and see from all the data they have collected for each patient, how can you predict if a patient is going to have cancer? And data analysis like that, it requires a lot of calculus and math skills and programming language. Do you understand right now? So, but for data analysis, you just have to be medium statistics like mean, median, mode, and having something like understanding something like standard deviation. So that's the difference between the two.
Okay. And before you were asking about, oh, sorry, we were asking about the average,
Yes.
and you specifically said that we're going to use the mean in this case. Is
Okay.
that always the case, or would you use the median?
Yeah. In your question, to answer your question, average, mean, they seems to mean the same thing. It's just a bit difference between them. Do you
Yeah,
understand
of
right now?
course.
So, but for median, it depends on the kind of analysis you are doing. Do you understand right now? So, for example, I just want to bring something from my experience. So, there's something we used to call percentile. So, when you are doing percentile, that is where median come in. Median is the 50th percentile of our values or distribution. So from there we have 75 percentiles, we have 85, we have 95 percentiles. So if you are dealing with something that you cannot actually get the center of it, so you then start using median percentile to get like 50% of our people falls into this range. That is median. Median is different from average right now. Do you understand right now? So we can say, let's say for example, we have an ambulance right now, and the number of time it takes an ambulance to deliver people to the hospital, the number, like the time period, we can't use average, because if we use average, it will skew our analysis. So then we start using median to see 50% of the people we take to hospital, they fall into this. It takes them this time to get into the hospital. Like let's say for example, it takes them 8 minutes. Then we look at it that 70% or 75% of the people we take to hospital, it takes them, let's say, like 10 minutes. 99% of people we take to the hospital, it takes them like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. You understand that? If you use an average in that kind of scenario, it's going to skew your analysis or on that report what you're trying to get. So that's why I said it's just a bit of understanding those statistics. You have to understand the reason why you should use mean. You have to understand the reason why you should use medium. You have to understand the reason why you should use mode and standard deviation and the likes like that.
Okay. And just final question. So how many years experience have you got?
Yeah, I have over
and
6
to
years
get
experience
senior
right now.
level?
I have over 6 years experience right now. So, and senior level is not in tech. Like I used to tell people, you can have 10 years experience and you still be mid. It depends on how you can think. Do you understand right now? Though my years of experience actually contributed again, because before you can get to that senior level, you must demonstrate 5 years experience and also demonstrate some advanced analysis. Do you understand right now? So that is where my data science degree comes into play, and also understanding knowledge of Python, and also understanding different concepts of data. Because when we talk about data analytics, it involves data science, data analysis, machine learning, data engineering, data architect, database administration. So understanding all those kind of concepts will get you into senior level role.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. That's great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Ayokunle,
Okay, thank you very much for your
you're
time.
welcome.
I want to ask, when we have like 2 tables we are working with in Power BI,
Okay.
and we are trying to, okay, let me put it this way. What is the purpose of creating a relationship between the
Okay, the
and
purpose of
that
creating a relationship between tables.
Yes, because there is a particular time I'm working on data sets, and when I'm trying to create that relationship, I see that there is a lot of blanks when I'm trying to create some particular region on that data set, I saw that there is a kind of blank on that dashboard I was creating. So I have to delete the properties of that relationship on that data model
Okay.
before the table now gets created.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the question, or do you have another one so that I just answer everything together?
I think that's okay. The last one. Do you have any platform whereby you explain step by step on how to understand SQL?
Yeah, I'm actually working on creating an SQL course right now. So once the course is available, I'm going to drop it on my YouTube channel. So it's an in-depth course from the beginning to the advanced level. So,
Okay. The
so
last question is about the this question actually governs the whole data analysis concepts.
okay.
Okay, let's take for instance we have the business question. You understand
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can.
Yeah, so I'll take your question from the data model question that you asked.
Okay.
So the reason why we do data modeling is because the way the data is coming from our operational, we have something we call operational database and we have something we call analytical database. So to avoid redundancy and to also avoid ambiguity. So customers, companies, they they record data by looking at a specific object. So, for example, let me give you an example. If you look at e-commerce company, first they will be recording data based on the customers. They will have a data that is centered on the customers, which will have the customer name, the customer demographics, the age, and stuff like that. Do you understand now? And how the customers are logging into the system. There's a data that will be there's a table that will take care of that. So there will be another table that will be centered around the product. Do you understand right now? So there will be another table that will be centered around the products the company sells. So the company will have a table that will, or they will keep updating. When there's a product, the table will update. And when the product is already going down, the table will update also. So if you as a data analyst now want to analyze, you can take customers' data, for example, and just look at the analysis around the customer. But what will really make sense is that you can then connect the customer table to the products table and see what product are customers buying. So that is where you then kind of start seeing pattern recognition, like, okay, maybe customers are buying more of this product than the other one. Or in this particular day, even there will be another table, just like the one I created, the dates table that will show all the dates that we have. So that will then see that, okay, in this particular day, customers are buying more of this than this one. These are the most selling products. These are the in-demand products. And from there, they can do something we call basket analysis and say, okay, particular customers, what are the kind of products they buy? So they can then link it up to say, okay, there will be another table that would be recording maybe a particular region. Let's say, for example, now we have customers coming from Nigeria, we have customers coming from UK, we have customers coming from Ghana. We can't put all those records, we can't put them into a single table. They will have to be in different table to allow for what we call to avoid what we call redundancy and ambiguity. So that is where data modeling comes from. This kind of concept now, as a data analyst, you just need to understand it. You don't need to understand how to create it. You understand now? You just need to understand it. And how to understand it is that you need to, in every data, if you have more than one, you need to understand that what is the primary key, the foreign key. Do you understand now? So the primary key and the foreign keys are what we link together. Okay, that is just like Afolabi has said now. So normalization, yes, normalization is just combining everything into a single table. Do you understand right now? So it has its own advantage. Just like I've said, it has its own advantage and it has its own disadvantage. So, for example, now, if your department has a data science department, let's say your company has a data science department, you have to normalize data. Normalize data is combine all those data, the location, the product you are buying, the customers into a single data. Do you understand now? So that they can do their own advanced prediction on the data. But you as a data analyst, you have to build you have to connect different data models together. So that once you are doing the analysis, you then can maybe focus, just like the old tables are different. So, but because the customer table is connected to the product table, you can see a single customer, you can see the number of products they are buying. So now imagine that we have a single customer, we have a single table recording that, and if you go to shopping mall, you can pick like 25 or 30 products. Do you understand now? So if you pick all the products you are picking now, if it is a single table, it will be recording as a single record. You pick bread, it will be on a single record. You pick maybe you pick egg, you pick soft drink. All those things will be on a single record, which it will, at the end of the day, cause ambiguity and overload the system also. But once they have a product table, they will just be linking you are a single record on the customer's table, and everything you are buying on the product table will just then come up there. Do you understand now? So then there will be a single table called transaction that will link to the two together. So the relationship is what you need to just pay attention to know which one. And when I'm talking about relationship now, there's a way to connect all this data model. There's the star format and there's the snowflakes format. Do you understand right now? So for a data analyst, what you should always be working towards is to have a star format connection. So the meaning of star format is that there will be a single fact table, and then the other tables are going to be dimension. There will be dimensional table. Do you understand right now? So what we are recording, dimensional table, fact is what is the transaction that is happening. So our fact tables in different business can mean different things. Do you understand right now? So in fact, so that is for that. So sometimes you can have snowflakes depending on the kind of setup you have. Do you understand right now?
Can we have more than one fact table in our data set?
Yes, you can have more than one fact table in your data set, but when it is happening like that, it's very rare. It's on rare occasion that you have more than one fact table in your data set, because the fact is what is actually measuring what the dimension are doing, like taking care of the activities of the dimension. Do you understand right now? So for example, now you'll be on the customer's table. Your details will be on the customer's table. The products you are buying will be on the product table. But all the activities are, okay, you bought this product, it will go to the fact table. You bought another product, it will go to the fact table. So it's only the fact table that will keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's not like when you buy something, the customer table will still remain the same. So that is how tricky it is. Like, you just need to, you can read more on snowflakes, data modeling, and stars data modeling, star schemas. They call them star schemas. Do you understand right now? So because the transaction, the fact is what will be getting updated. Like once you buy something from the product table, that thing is recorded in the transaction in the facts table. Do you understand right now? So that is the way it works. So sometimes it depends. Like I said, the analysis you want to do, you have to have some meeting with the stakeholders. If your data requires you to do data modeling, join different data together, you need to have knowledge of data modeling. Because the problem again is that if you don't know how those data are joining to each other, definitely you'll be getting wrong answer. And once you are joining them again, you'll be getting null in some places if you join them wrongly. Do you understand now? You start coming up with empty distance. So it's just like if you understand the concept of joining in SQL. So something like that is what is going to happen in Power BI if you are using model. So because you'll be seeing something like one to many, many to one, you have to understand the meaning of one to many, many to one, many to many. Do you understand right now? So there are a lot of things I cannot just answer everything in this live. So I'm just giving you a brief overview of everything. So the second question, I think the last question you asked,
Yes.
is about data modeling also, or what's the question?
It's about business requirements.
Yes.
Reporting.
Yes. So that one, business requirement, that one you have to work with stakeholders. Like what I mean by stakeholders is that the analysis you are doing, there are some people in your organization that are using all those things. So they are the ones that are making decisions based on what you have done. So once you do something, they will come and say, okay, we like what you've done. Can we see something like this in a different dimension, or can we see it in this dimension? Do you understand right now? So the only thing is just that once you have the subject matter expertise, you understand the business and everything. Once there's a question that comes up, you can let them know, okay, the data we have can't answer the question. So maybe we have to go and maybe get more data. There's a way we can get more data. You can start recording some things. Do you understand right now? So for example, now, maybe just like the data modeling we are explaining, you have a table that is looking at region of customers. But in that table, all you store is just the house number, the address, and the state. There's no postcode stored. And they want to start looking at it that, okay, what postcode are we getting more customers? Maybe they want to look at it that, okay, if you can build another venue or another branch of our business into this area, and we kind of see the postcode that are nearer to each other, then we can know which postcode is the right one to build into. Do you understand right now? So, and they're asking you, can we get the postcode? You can see that in the data you are recording, there's no any record of postcode. So it will be difficult to make any recommendation on that. Do you understand now? So everything is based on the data you are recording and you having subject matter expertise of the industry you are. And most of this thing is that there's no cram in there. It's just talking to your stakeholders, and most of the time, again, you're having in your industry that you work with, there will be association of data analysts there. And you guys, when you join their meeting, they can say, okay, this is the thing we are actually trying to look at now, and this is the way we have been doing this right now, something like that. And if you feel like you can take it back to your stakeholders, and from there, you take it on.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, I don't know, your name, Mr. FFF.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I've been watching now, and I can see that.
I can hear you. Continue. I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm currently learning, so it's not like the production to actually. Like, my question is like, I'm also thinking of doing like data science.
Okay.
My question is like, how does it like
your mic is like breaking. Sometimes I hear you, sometimes I don't. It's breaking up.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, but if you remain in that position, I think I'll be able to hear you.
Okay, I say like, how does it work being a data scientist?
Being a data scientist and being a data analyst. Yeah, the work of a data scientist is just to build prediction models, which requires you having knowledge of programming language and calculations, calculus. So let me give you an example now. If you are trying to apply for a loan, they will ask you your details like, okay, what is your name? What is your address? What is this? What is that? So all those things, all those data you are putting now is going to a particular algorithm or model that will then predict, are you a good person for them to give you loan, or are you a bad person? Or if so, the algorithm is going to be the one that will deny you or accept you. Or even some credit companies, they have the data scientists have used a lot of data to build data model that will predict some outcome. So in some credit company, when you apply for credit, there's an algorithm or there's a model behind that platform. So that is why you see that once you apply like this, a form will come up for you. So you have to fill that form. So once you fill that form, all those details are filtered to a pipeline of model that will then come up and say, okay, we are giving you £200 of credit card. You then see another person that apply slightly. They put, you and some other person might not be the same thing. Maybe different age, different background, different job and stuff like that. So once that person puts his own details, the person might get £800, might get £2,000. So that the work of a data scientist is just to build model to streamline business activities. So instead of loan companies to start going through everybody's application one after the other, or credit companies to start going through everybody's application one after the other, it is the model that will go through everybody's application. So it is the model that will then suggest that, okay, this is the outcome we are going to give you. So sometimes it is not always perfect. Do you understand now? Because some people will find a way to game the system. And so that is what the data scientists will now do and say, okay, we are giving more people credit, and the people that we have given credit in the past 5 months now, the model that our model has given credit in the past months now, they are not really paying back. So that means the model is not working well, it's predicting wrong. So the next thing that will happen is that they will have to tweak the model again. So that is the work of a data scientist. So it's more of building pipelines, writing code, Python and everything like that. You understand now? So they don't really, it's not that they don't build dashboard. They will have their own dashboard that they will build. For example, the model, the kind of dashboard they will build is to see the model's performance. So there are a lot of things they measure, like drift. Drift is that, is the model still working as we want it to be working, or is it drifting away from the actual thing as it has been created for? So that is data science. If you love coding and you love mathematics, you love calculus, you love probability, then you can go into data science. Do you understand right now? And being a data science, doing data science course will also expose you to a whole lot of things, because data science is just like the general knowledge of everything. In data science, you learn business development, which is part of what data analysis do. You learn business development, you learn data engineering, you learn, just like I've said, the one I'm explaining to you earlier is machine learning. You learn machine learning, you learn AI engineering, you learn a whole lot of things. So it is you that you then specify or specialize in what you want to do. Do you understand right now? So that is part of the difference between data analysis is part of data science. But data science as a whole, when they call you a data scientist, you might even be working, what you be working at might just be maybe just building dashboard like for a company now, you are doing simple Excel. But most of the time, it will require you doing something advanced more than that. So because you can be doing data engineering and you still be called, you are still under data scientist. You can be doing business intelligence developer, and if they want to tag you, they'll say you are still under data scientist, because everything you are doing, you are still using data. Do you understand right now?
My other question is, as a data analyst, is it good to, let's say there are some data analysts that work on medical report, medical data.
Yes.
And then some other work on data sales, like review or something like that, like a company that deals with sales and stuff like that. You get it?
Okay.
So like as a data analyst, you should like focus on both or just niche on one aspect of data.
It depends on where you want to target, actually. Do you understand right now? So it depends on where you want to target. almost, I don't think there's any business settings that doesn't need data analyst. Even if you look into football, there are people they call football analyst. So even if you look into healthcare, if you look into crime, look into banking, look into anything. So it's you that you then look at, okay, if you like to specialize. So, but if you are just starting out and you have not worked in any industry, I used to say maybe start as a generalist, pick different data in different industry and start looking at the ones that you feel that you are fascinated with. Do you understand right now? And again, some people just find themselves in a particular industry just because, the term data analysis is general. So
Actually,
if
you wanna be doing like we've been working on sales, something like
you've been working on what, I can't hear you very well.
you've been working on sales data.
Yes.
Like,
So, and do you like it?
yeah, it's kind of for now because I'm just learning. So just need so I'm still learning.
Okay. So that is just the bulk point of everything. You can be anything. So, the job now is general data analyst. People in the healthcare industry, they will call it data analyst. People in the financial industry too, they will say data analyst. So, but once you enter each industry, then they have different data. But it's still the same skill, your tool set that you use, Excel, SQL, Power BI, and a little bit of maybe Python if you want to go higher than that. So, but what is just different is that there are some things that is just specific to healthcare. There are some things that are specific to banking and finance. There are some things that are specific to e-commerce, and even in the music industry too, they have data analysts. In the entertainment industry, so there are some things. So, for example, in the football industry now, the football or sports now, they say they measure things like goal ratio, goal contributions. Do you understand now? Those are the things they use if they want to sign a particular player. They can say, okay, for the past 5 months, what is this player's goal ratio or goal contribution? So, and some club, they will say, okay, in this match, this is this club expected goal. This is the other club expected goal. And if you start watching Premier League they used to put probability of winning and probability of losing. So most of the time, all those probability of winning and probability of losing is always coming from the data scientist side. But goal contribution, they say, okay, this person goal contribution, so is data analyst that will do that. Okay, we have been looking at this player for the past 1 year of his career or past 5 years of his career. This is his goal contribution. Do you understand right now? So that is the.
Okay, sorry, but I still have like 2 questions to ask. So, being a data analyst, then let's say you are already working. How do
Can you get closer to your mic? I can't really.
analyzing?
Can you get closer to
Can you
your
hear me
mic?
now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, like my question is it like when you get working,
Is it like what?
start working, like is it every day like you get to analyze?
Okay, yeah, it's the way it works is that in the industry, you are always given a project. Like you would have something you work on, maybe something like you'll be working on it maybe like for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you present to stakeholders. Do you understand now? But sometimes another thing again is that it depends on the kind of industry you are working for. For example, if you are working for a public industry, if you are working for a public service or something like that, you might have to do analysis every day, apart from the project you have, because some public individuals might ask you. Let's say, for example, now you work in the prison, you work for prison service now. They might ask you that how frequent do you have male offenders coming into the prison, or in the past 5 years, how many people have the prison executed based on their offense? Do you understand right now? So those ones now, there are something that comes in that you have to, work with, like you have to analyze daily. But sometimes there's going to be a project, like the stakeholders, they want to, let's say for example now, they want to see the number of prisons, the number of food, or let's say for example they want to see the number of liters of water they are drinking every day. All those things are being recorded somewhere. So you have to build a dashboard for it that the stakeholders will look at it that, okay, the number of water is going up. They drank this amount of water yesterday. Why are they drinking this so much today? Or they ate this amount of food yesterday, or last month, this is the amount of food they ate. Or they can even look at the money they spent and everything like that. And look at it that, okay, last month we spent this so amount of food. Why are we spending this so amount again on food? Like, it is higher. So if it is higher, that's when they'll start looking at it that, are we having more in prison inmates coming in? So it is the dashboard that will be giving them all those kind of direction. Do you understand right now? So once you have built that, they'll look at it, and then if there's any changes you need to make to it, they will come back to you and say, okay, we need to make these changes. So that is the way it works. It's not like it's every day unless you have something else. It's just projects delivered to the stakeholders, they come back to you again. Projects delivered to the stakeholders, they come back to you again.
Okay. So my last question is like, you venture into data analysis like before any other thing? Like, is that
Okay, did I start with data analysis first, or I don't get your question? Can you repeat it again? I can't hear you very well.
my question is that did you start as a data analyst before going from the masters in data science?
No. No, it wasn't like that. I was into digital marketing. So, but from the digital marketing, I was already doing some analysis, and from there, that was what prompted doing data science, just to understand, just to add some advanced knowledge to it.
Okay. So what advice can you give? I'm currently learning data analysis. Also, like thinking of doing my masters in data.
Yeah, there's
advice.
there's nothing wrong in doing your masters in data science. It's even a good one, because if you do your masters in data science, it will give you the leverage to actually go into any data career paths. Because when you start out, if you start out as a data analyst, so after sometimes you might feel bored, you might want to start doing some of the back-end stuff, which is building database and stuff like that. And looking at how you can get clean data to the data warehouse. That is the work of maybe data engineers and database administrator. You might feel like, okay, I'm tired of waiting a day or 2 days or even a month before we can see what happened. I want to be predicting the future. With data science degree or master's degree, it will give you the leverage to work in any data engineering or data analytic aspects. There are lots of data analytics aspects. There's business intelligence, there's data analysis, there's data engineering, there's data architect, there's database designer. There are a lot of all things like that. But you only get to understand all those things with master's degree in data science. And if you have that, you can venture into any one.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, Afolabi, good evening. Afolabi, good evening.
Hello, boss. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Ayokunle, thanks for the gift. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the gift. Afolabi, I can hear you. Maybe I have to mute you. Tobiloba, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I have
Ayokunle,
a
thank you.
question
Okay.
to ask.
Okay.
So because I just started learning data analysis, right?
Okay.
I was the one who commented on your post that I talk about I was just learning data analysis, that I told you that I started with SQL, and one of my friends told me I should.
Okay. I think I remember. You should start with Excel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now my question is, because since I've been learning,
Thank you, FT.
I'm always seeing some posts that like the people that are data analysis has to be a statistician, a mathematician, and some things like that. But what me I read in school is entirely different from these ones. You understand?
Yes.
So now, my question is, what is your advice now? Because I just started 3 weeks ago.
So you want to be sure that you are not wasting your time.
I swear, because to learn those stuffs are not easy. Because
So
I have another work I'm doing. So I'm always having enough time to learn.
okay.
At least I learn like 3 to 4 hours in a day.
Okay. So
And I'm always doing that Monday to Friday.
okay.
Yeah, so that's my first question. Will you answer that before I ask?
Okay. I asked the second question.
Okay. My second question is based on the Excel that I've been learning.
Okay.
Because someone introduced me to this guy on YouTube,
Alex the analyst.
Yes, but there are some things that guy is doing. Although I understand some and I'm not understanding some. Because there was a day I literally closed my laptop. I was like, am I sure this thing is for me? I can't lie to you. I was like, hey, because I've learned UI UX before, but that design thing is not for me, so I stopped.
Okay.
So before wasting much time on this one.
Okay.
So the things I want to ask now is that all those space that are always in those messy data. I know I don't think I should be asking that one now, but that thing is always bothering me because I will be like, why are there space here? How can I get the answer to these things? Like a missing email, age, name, and some other stuff like that. In Excel, I've not got it to SQL.
Okay.
You understand? So those things are always giving me a headache. I'll be looking at it like, what's the problem now? There was a day I got one solution to one messy data like that. If you see the way I was happy, as if I won money. I won money. So as I saw this live now, I said, I must join you and ask questions.
Okay. So do you want me to start from the top, or let me start from the top?
Yes.
The first question, which is you are looking at the background you have. The first thing I will ask is that what kind of background you have, what degree do you have, or
I studied local government development.
Okay, so that's
is different. It's totally.
I understand where you're coming from. So the other thing I want to ask is that, do you give people your money to save for you? Like, if you want to spend money now, you don't know how much you want to spend. Do you give more people money to count for you? And okay, let's say for example, you want to buy bread. You don't know how to count. Maybe it's 500 or 200 that you want to use and buy the bread.
Why not?
Yes, the reason why I'm asking that question is that we have been so programmed to think that if you don't have this kind of education, like in the four walls of the classroom, that we can't do some things. Do you understand right now? So we have been so programmed that way, and it's not meant to be like that. Do you understand right now? So your background should not put your back on the ground. So this thing you have right now is that you should be able to understand the mathematics that is going in. You don't need to be a statistician. You don't need to. All those ones are just, you see a lot of posts. Some people will try to exaggerate, and some people. So when you follow a lot of social media, you'll be seeing a lot of confusing stuff. Do you understand right now? So
because I've been following a lot of data analysis on TikTok like this now, watching their videos, watching what they are saying.
So you'll be seeing a lot of confusing stuff. So what I would just say is that you need to understand the basics. So the way it works is that for your situation now that you are self-learning, for people that are self-learning, what I usually advise them is to do is that they should start with, there's this course on Google or on Coursera.com, they call it Google Data Analytics Specialization or something like that. It will explain what it means to be a data analyst. Do you understand right now? So, and you don't need to start using any calculator or anything, or use your hand to press anything. All this software, all this Excel and everything will do all those statisticians they are saying and everything. The point is that you should understand why they are doing, why you want to do that thing. For example, there's this guy that just asked me the difference between why we are not using mean, or why we are not using median. Why are we using mean? Do you understand right now? The place where you use median is different from the place where you use mean. So that thing you should go and understand it. So when you see an analysis, you know that, okay, this analysis, I'm not going to use median. I'm not going to use mean. I'm going to use median. So, and for the fact that you are going to use mean doesn't mean that you now start writing 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2. The software will do it for you by coding it. Do you understand right now? And if you are not sure of your background, if you are scared that you don't have the mathematical skills or something like that, you can just type on YouTube statistics. Don't even search for statistics. Search for basic mathematics for data science, data analysis entry level. Search for something like that, so that.
Since I've been learning, ChatGPT is my best friend.
Exactly. You can also use ChatGPT to explain some things. That's what I'm even telling people now. You can use ChatGPT to explain something to yourself. So, and you find out that all these things are just logical issue, that you just need to understand what is going on in the subject matter. Even for yourself in your life now, you analyze data, but you might not know. Every one of us, we are data analysts. Let me give you an example now. If I don't know how frequent you buy food. Maybe it's every month or every this thing that you buy food stuff. But you look at the food stuff you buy. At the point you are buying the food stuff, you look at it that this food stuff must last me certain number of days.
Yes.
Do you understand now? Even if it is a month, you might look at it, okay, let it last me like 30 days. So at the end of 30 days, you see that there's still enough food. You might look at it that, okay, probably what is happening? Maybe food has become cheap and we are having more. So and another one again is that you look at it at 30 days. By 25 or 24th day, you are seeing that the food has finished. What is happening? Why did the food finish before the 30th day? We'll start analyzing and saying that, okay, it's because I have this visitor that has come to stay with me. We are cooking more than usual. Do you understand all those kind of things now? So those are the thought process too. When you start to work for a company, they will have issue. And it is only by analyzing the data that they will then see that, okay, we are now selling more products in this region, but we don't have our branch in that region. What if you have a branch there? Are we going to sell more? Because we discovered that some people want to buy from us, but they can't take that distance. But with the fact that there's distance, we still get this amount of people buying at this store. So let's go and look for a smaller store. Do you understand? Let's build another store closer to the people that have been coming to us so that we can maximize profit from that place. So it's all those data analysis that brings that suggestion, that brings out that insight for stakeholders to then look at, okay, we are taking this action. Do you understand right now? So you shouldn't be scared. The mathematics are not something that are calculus and I used to tell people again, when you start working, the way you'll be working, I don't want to say in isolation, but the way you'll be working, nobody will be behind you and start telling you, okay, how do you get this number? Press it for me. Or what are you going to, write this Excel formula. Nobody will stay on your neck. They will give you a project. Okay, we have this thing. This is where our data is staying. okay, how can we get this thing? Or we want to see the number of products we are selling in a day, or we want to see the number of products we are selling by the end of this month. Do you understand right now? So that is the kind of analysis that will be coming, and by understanding the subject matter expertise, it will be easier for you. So just pay attention on those simple calculations. Look at what is the reason behind those calculations. So, and you get better. By doing more, you get better. So the second question, where you said that you see a lot of empty spaces in the Excel sheet and stuff like that. So
Yes.
the reason why you are seeing a lot of empty spaces is that space is because those data were not recorded. And in the real world, most of the time, some data will not be recorded. And that is the work of a data quality. That is the word of data quality. There are some people who call data quality. We call them data quality officers. So they are the ones, thanks so much, Maki. So they are the ones that will look at the database and say, okay, why is this data missing? So it depends on the kind of industry. Some industry, they don't have data quality analysts or data quality officers. Some industries don't have that. But if you are working with sensitive data, let's say, for example, something in healthcare, something in banking, you have to have data quality officer. So all those places that you are seeing now, let me give you an example now. Let's say somebody goes to an hospital now and they meet the receptionist. They'll ask, what's your name? They'll put the name. How old are you? They'll put everything like that. So sometimes they might ask you, how old are you? Some elderly people might not know their name. So the receptionist might decide that, okay, since I don't know your name, maybe your family member will come around and will ask them. They might not feel anything in that age, and it becomes blank at the back end. Do you understand now? So in some situation again is that, let's say there's an accident, they brought somebody as an emergency to the hospital. You might not know the person's name, or you might know the person's name, maybe the ID card, maybe you see the work ID card, but the person's date of birth might not be on the work ID card.
Yes.
So until the person becomes conscious, before we can do, or we have their family member that can bring their documentation that will show date of birth and everything. But if we don't have anybody, until the person becomes conscious, before we can be asking, okay, what is your how old are you, or something like that. If the person is in ICU for 5 days or 10 days, that is how that place will be blank. So there are a lot of data like that.
That guy I'm learning from is not explaining this one to me. I will just see it, I blank this thing, and I'll see the correct answer. I will be like, how did they do this thing like this now? And God, I'll just.
So that is why that is the issue. And sometimes again, some places, some people might just overlook it. You are registering for, let's say, for example, now you are registering something online now, and you don't know. They ask you, okay, what is your favorite something, or what is your postcode? You don't know, you just ignore it and you select it. So that is why you see that if you are filling some form and you click on select, it will bring error that you need to go and fill another something. So it is their data quality team or that have built that validation. They call that in data validation. They have built it there that you must enter that value before you submit all your record. If that value is not entered, you will not be able to submit any record. Do you understand right now? So even some places, you see some people writing wrong dates. They are now putting data validation and say, okay, the dates, they will explain the format they want the date to be for you. Do you understand right now? So that is the question. I think the last question you asked is about.
No, those are the two questions.
Okay, those are the two questions. Okay.
Yes. So I want to ask, do you often come online like this and do this live?
Yeah, I'm trying to be consistent because it's not easy. So I'm trying to be consistent. So probably if
I know you might be busy.
So I'm trying to be consistent.
Help we that we are starting like this so that it will be difficult. In case we have any issue learning, it will be easier for me to come. Maybe when I know that at night or tomorrow this person will be online, let me go and meet him, explain to him, maybe he can give me a solution.
Yeah, I'm trying to be consistent.
Because sometimes this chat GPT too, their answer sometimes might be somehow not explanatory. So I have to come to someone like you will say it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm also looking into building a community. So once that is available,
That
so
would be better.
we
That would be
can we
better.
can always have questions and talk in real
We
time.
will appreciate that.
Okay, now. Yeah,
Thank you so much. I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And if I have any further question, I know that you are here now.
Yeah,
I'm sure this
just
is
drop
whenever
it in
you
the
come on
comment
analysis.
section. Yeah.
No problem. Sorry, you mentioned one Google something. Please, can you type it up for me or you call it?
Yeah, it's just if you go to coursera.org and you search for Google Data Analytics Certification, go to coursera.org and search for Google Data Analytics Certification. So that thing would actually help you as you are starting out so that you understand more of what is happening in the data space. So you understand better what you are doing.
Google data analysis.
Yes. So you search for it on coursera.org.
Coursera.org.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, FT.
Yeah, sorry. I have a question that I want to ask.
Okay.
How it's working? Like you're already working. Like, are you going to ask people you are going to be working with, like analysts, people that you'll be working with, like let's say colleagues, or you're working with, or it's just going to be only you?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of industry you find yourself. Do you understand now? And the size of the company. So if it is a large organization, it will be a department where you might be like 10 people in that department. So out of the 10 people now, maybe like 2 people are data engineers, and maybe like 4 or 5 people are data analysts, and maybe like another 2 or 3 people are data quality, But if it is a small organization, it can just be like 2 people or 1 people. So you're 1 person. It depends on the organization you are working with. Do you understand right now? But most of the time, it is a large organization like maybe NHS, any public organization. It will be a team because there will be a lot of data, very large data. Only you cannot do everything. Do you understand now?
Yeah. What you're like working in a small community that is only maybe let's say like just only 1 person.
Yeah.
How do you get to navigate it?
Yeah, I've actually never worked in that kind of environment. So because if you find yourself in that kind of environment, I would suggest you just maybe I don't know, because you are going to burn out. The meaning of burnout is that you need to you'll be the one doing the work of a data engineer. You'll be the one doing the work of a database analyst. You'll be the one doing the work of data analyst. You'll be the one doing the work of a data quality officer. Do you understand now? So you'll be wearing many hats, which will cause burnout. Do you understand right now? So I'm not sure if it's any serious organization will just have 1 person, unless it's not something big. Do you understand right now? And if it is not something big, it won't be a problem for you. You'll be able to navigate. But if it is a big community, it will be difficult to say you want to navigate through.
Yeah, me, I'm talking about like the experience, being a first time. Like you are just getting the job for the first time.
If you are just getting the job for the first time, whether big or small, in an ideal setting, if you are just getting the job for the first time, they will place you on what we call 6-month probation. So the meaning of probation is that they expect that within 6 months you should have known what they are doing in that company. So at the beginning, they will first start explaining the data to you, where you get some data, where the people you need to talk to if you need something, and again they will always attach somebody with you. So you shadow the person. The meaning of shadow is that they will tell the analysis or the work will be for that person, but they can say you should also come up with your own stuff, and then you and the person you then compare the results.
Together.
Do you understand right now? So the person will now explain to you, okay, in our own organization, we used to filter out this thing. Do you understand right now? So for example, let me give you an example. Are you in Nigeria right now?
Yes, I'm in Nigeria.
You see, Lagos State and Ogun State are really close. And if you're not careful, you'll be in Ogun State and you'll be thinking you are in Lagos State.
Yeah.
So let's say you are now working for a company that their domain is just Lagos State. But once in a while, some people from Ogun State also get to interact with them. They will have data from people in Ogun State. But if they are looking at their own organization, like their own domain and everything, they will always filter out where the location is Ogun State. Do you understand right now? So but for you that you are just joining the company, you might want to just count everybody that is in that. You understand that everybody that you encounter without knowing that, okay, if somebody is from Ogun State, you have to exclude them. So that is the difference. When you start, you always be on shadow for like 3 or 2 months. And from there, they'll start giving you your own original project to do, and then you get better.
Okay. And also, sir, do you have any materials or something like to leverage on this industry, like maybe videos or materials?
Yeah, I'm actually also working on doing some video from the scratch to upload on YouTube. But if you also go on YouTube, you'll see different people uploading stuff on YouTube. So I can't really say this is where to start. What I just used to tell people is that just understand that you are starting with Excel. It's easier to start with Excel. Some people will say you should start with Python. Some people will say you should start with SQL. But I will tell you the fact: start with Excel, because Excel is
I've got like 2 to 3 projects now on Excel that I can do very well.
Yes, if you have been able to do that, then move to SQL. Everything you are doing.
I'm currently learning, like the things I'm learning from you. I see you did the introduction to Power BI.
They did introduction to Power BI before SQL.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can do it that way too, but
like after Excel, you are doing Power BI, then after the Power BI, you go to SQL.
Well, they can do it that way, but what I just feel is that it is easier to understand from Excel to SQL and from SQL to Power BI, because Power BI is just the end of everything where you visualize everything. But if you start from Excel, everything you have learned in Excel, the limitation of what Excel cannot do is what the SQL will do, and it will be easier for you to understand. But if it is that way also, the most important thing is that try to understand what you are doing there. The reason why you are using a particular function, the reason why you are using a particular visualization is the bar chart. Why are we using bar chart here? And we are not using column chart or horizontal chart, or we are not using pie chart. You understand now? So try and understand things like that. So that's the most important thing.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let me see. Afolabi, are you there? Hello, Afolabi. Afolabi is not there. What about Felix? Felix, are you there? So I think Felix, are you there?
Sorry, I was trying to get my phone out. Yeah, I'm sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. I just stumbled onto your platform now.
You're welcome.
And I think I like what I was hearing.
So how's everything?
Journey of data analytics. Thank God. I wanted to ask a question.
I'm with you.
There are a lot of people out there that are actually, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to be able to give people insight about how to become like a data analyst, or maybe how to be able to specialize in any of the field that are in data science.
Okay.
As a data engineer, as a data architect, or analyst, or business analyst, and all that. But I think most times people make it so complicated when they are trying to explain it.
Okay.
The reason why I said that is because I've actually been a training solution expert for like almost 15 years. Like, I'm good with training. When it comes to training, I can make it complex to look very simple to you. But I've never actually seen anybody that can actually give me insight on how to be able to know data analytics in a pragmatic way and a simplified form. So with the little explanation you just gave, that was the reason why I had to come up to say you made it very simple with those examples that you gave.
Thank you so
I
much.
think it's something that I can actually relate with.
Okay.
I think, for example, now there's this guy that I wanted to do a course with, and he told me, hey, I shouldn't go to data analytics. Let me do cloud computing, AWS, and the other one. I think, guys, I'm the kind of person, it's like, if I have mind for something, if I have a flair for something, it's easy for me to flow. But if you try to put me in a place because of the money, I don't like to follow knowledge because of the money. I like to follow knowledge because I need to know it so that I can impact it to other people.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I follow knowledge. It's not because I want to use it to make money. I've got a master's in data science.
Oh, that's nice.
You get. And I've been an IT person for over as long as I can remember. So the whole bottom of the whole thing is, when you go for those master programs, they don't really teach you the pragmatic way on how to make these things work in the real life.
Yeah, they are just teaching you the way to the textbook stuff.
Exactly, how it works in book, not how it works in real life. So sometimes you see some people that want to put you through. The stories they'll start giving again is more like an extension of what you have already passed in school. It becomes so boring. It's not pragmatic. I'm a kind of pragmatic person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm trying to do. That is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bridge the gap. Yeah, I'm trying to bridge the gap because I've met a lot of people that have, even people with master's degree, and it's not that they don't know what they need to know, but the problem is that how would they get there? And it's kind of become difficult to translate everything into getting a job. So that is what I'm trying to bridge. What I'm trying to do.
It's good. Do you have a degree in data analytics?
You have a master's degree in data science.
Now, for me personally, the way I think of things is quite different anyway. Because I've got this entrepreneurial mindset, I'm not really looking at acquiring a data analytics skill to do a 9 to 5. I want to acquire it to use it as a business.
Okay.
More of like consulting.
That's nice.
You get?
Yes.
So that's my approach. The 9 to 5 thing is not in my blood. So if I get to know these basics of this thing, how can I team up with people that we can now develop a solution that we can now use to be able to service businesses and corporate organizations to save them time and energy. So instead of them to work on a project for 3 months, we can tell them we can give you results in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we
to save them time and money.
Yeah, what you're talking about is more like just like you have said, is consulting. So you have a lot of companies. Maybe you I've never done something like that. I know it's actually work and it has a lot of money in it, and so you can look at companies like PwC, Procter and Gamble, and there's this another one. I've forgotten the name. KPMG. You understand now? If you can study those kind of companies, they are into consulting, and I've met a lot of guys that are data analysts that work for KPMG, that work for PwC. You understand right now? So what those PwC, what they do is just the same thing you are explaining. They talk to companies instead of them starting to build their own from the scratch. They don't know how to start, or instead of the company starting to assemble team. The companies don't know what they don't know. They have issues, and they don't even know if they are assembling the right team. So those PwC, KPMG, they will just come and say, okay, this is your problem. We'll get you this thing in the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and we can keep servicing it for you. So it will be like a contract. So we'll do this for you for the next 3 years, or we'll do this for you for the next 5 years. And if you are okay or pleased with what we are doing, then we can, renegotiate again and start another contract. So if you can study things like the structure of KPMG, PwC, definitely what you are trying to do is scale. So, but you yourself, like you said, you just need to have the knowledge of it so that you know the kind of team you assemble. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that's it.
So starting from the scratch, now where do you think you can find pragmatic people?
Yeah.
Give us intensive courses on this.
Yeah, if you go on LinkedIn, you find it.
I don't really believe on all these, read all these many things. Because me, if I want to train somebody, for example, let's say, I have knowledge about a lot of IT courses.
Okay.
Like AutoCAD, P3, graphics. Some people say you learn graphics in 3 months. I can teach you graphics in 1 week. It's just to go to the basic and go and tell you the input and how to use the tools. Then now come and expose you to the how of it. And how to create your concept. If you get those 3 in between now, you get it back. So if I want to learn this thing now, I need somebody that can be able to take me like very, very pragmatic on a one-to-one.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. The one thing I want you to understand is that I don't know your brain capacity really. I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is that
my brain capacity is good.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by I don't know. I don't know how big it is. You understand? So that's what I mean. So what is there is that data analysis has a lot of things in it that I'm not sure anybody can know in 1 week, because there's this quote that said that if you want to be good at something, you have to have practiced it for 10,000 hours.
Yes.
Do you understand right now? So the meaning of 10,000 hours is actually philosophical. Sometimes it might not be like literally 10,000 hours, but what it means is that you practice and practice and practice and practice. And for example, now there are 3 tools as a beginner or even as a data analyst. There are 3 tools you need to at least familiarize yourself with: Excel, SQL, Power BI. So, and those 3 things do the 3 different things. Do you understand now? And if you don't understand one, you won't understand why this is the tool you should be using. And I'm not sure, but I'll be real with you. If you are a very fast learner, just give yourself 3 months with intense learning. So definitely you get it. And if you are looking for a team to build, you can go on LinkedIn. You definitely see a lot of people. So the reason why I said LinkedIn is that when you go on LinkedIn, you see a lot of data analysts, and on their profile, there will be links to their portfolio. You can review everybody's portfolio, but it has to be based on you yourself. You have the knowledge of what you are reviewing. How will you be able to identify if this person's portfolio is actually original, or they just, because people also copy a lot of portfolio up and down. Yeah, and one thing again is that if you're assembling a team, it's just like you are trying to assemble a football team now. You cannot just go and assemble one useless team. You have to assemble people that actually know their onions. Do you understand right now? So if you yourself that you are getting them, you don't know what you should be looking at, or you can't identify somebody that is just mid to somebody that is actually pro. You understand now? So that's the way out. So
it don't make sense. Because I saw your profile, you senior data analyst. So when you started from the basics, how long have you been practicing now?
Yeah. So guys, it's been more than 3 hours and we're already in the following day. So I'll come back again and hopefully we'll be able to finish it in the next live session. Thanks to everyone that have joined. And Ade Kolu Ibrahim, okay. Just come to my DM. Yes, I do offer job search support. Yes, come to my DM and we'll talk about that. So thank you so much, everyone that have joined. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And to everyone that have supported the live with gifts and liking the live, Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you again the next time.
I'll
So
send you a DM, bro.
no problem. I'll be expecting.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye.